Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 174th live stream for the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more casual. We are going to do some development today. We've had this idea for a long time now, well over a year, of doing gaming with chat, and I think I finally figured out how we're going to do that. And today we are going to begin the development of that, a little bit of precursor work and kind of some preliminary idea some sketch work, and then we will start to develop that as the weeks go by, and then eventually we'll be able to host it. So join us today as we begin that. And of course, as always, I have your co-host Kage here in the studio with me to help me with this, and he doesn't even know yet. I haven't even told him. My camera's a little bit dark. Let me fix that. What's going on, Soul? Coming in a little bit late, but that's okay. We won't hold it against you. I mean, I'm lying. Yes, we will, but don't worry about it.
Wild.
Only gonna hold it against you as much as humanly possible.
I am running slow today. I don't know what's going on with me. My box is working extra hard. Yes. But yes, I am super excited to be here. I don't 100% know exactly what this is gonna look like, but I am excited to see it go down. I definitely like the idea of finding a way to like actually do a little bit of gaming, because we've done a lot of creation, and I do think that's like one of the biggest things that we are about, is actually growing the community and like creating things for it. But I'm kind of excited because I really do think that gaming is, I mean, that's what this is. It is a game, right? Like,
right.
I think that actually getting down to a little bit, at least to a certain degree,
that even
is a really cool opportunity. So I don't know. I'm here for it.
Look at that even number Soul just got.
That even number. Ooh, that's a nice number.
Like, how is that even? Like, that's great.
That's beautiful.
Just nice little boom right on the dot. All right. Yeah. So I thought that was going to be a lot of fun. It's a little bit of the idea that I talked to you about earlier in the week. But before we get to that, we have a few updates. I think my camera's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's good.
It's better than it was a second ago. But a couple updates that we wanted to discuss. So we have the community stream coming up.
Yes.
I don't know if we have a date yet. So, yeah, I do not have a date. I am free. The 26, 27, you're not free. And the poker night's going to happen on one of those days. We have a movie night on the 19th. The 20th is Easter. So we're not doing it this weekend, which I don't really want to try to shove it.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have been able to do it last weekend anyway, because the wedding.
Yeah.
Maybe April just wasn't going to work out. Because we can't do, I don't think we can shove it into this weekend. That's the only other option, is we shove it into this weekend.
Unless we can find a way to do it on like Sunday or something like that. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Let's see, what were we supposed to do? Ooh. Actually, hang on. Let me look.
We're looking, people.
Chat. Why do you always have to do this, community? Why can't the community ever make up its fucking mind?
We tied again?
We are. Every fucking time. You all cannot make up what you want. We have 3 votes for critical cocktails and 3 votes for subletting subclasses. But on top of that, we have 2 votes for tavern tangents and 1 vote for pop culture builds. The community never knows what it wants, but it can never just decide.
It just means that they want all the things. They want all the things. All the things are so good and tasty and scrumptious that they're trying to get all of it.
So mad. Thank you for asking, Soul. The wedding was phenomenal.
It was a really good time.
It was a good time. It was a good friend of ours, basically a common high school friend of Kage and I's. His younger brother got married. So kind of I guess without sounding egotistical, because I never want to impose, but definitely kind of, it felt like a proud uncle moment, like with all of us there watching, because it was you, me, Lucifer, and Wanderer, all there, and I was thinking about it too, like if wanting to say something about it, and I'm just like, man, we've all watched that kid grow for like well over 20 years.
I was around when that kid was born, dude.
Yeah, and I wasn't very, and I've been around for like 22 years of his life.
Wild.
You've been around for all, what, 26, 27 of them?
Yeah.
So it's like, you knew him when he was born. I knew him when he was just basically like 6 years old. So it's insane to think like, watching him get married now is just like, wow, that's
a life, man.
yeah.
Like,
And,
it's
and it's like not like we hang out. Obviously, there's a big age difference.
mean,
We don't
yeah.
hang out with him a lot, but at the same time, it's like I appreciate that. Like it meant a lot to go there, and it was a very beautiful
Definitely.
wedding. Just amazing vibe, good friends that he has, good family.
No, and I like that he was wanting to keep it like personal, like
yeah, very, very, very tight knit. Everybody.
Yes,
I did
yes.
feel like there was, definitely no disrespect to V, but I think there was a understanding of like I need to know the people, like, and I totally get that. Having done
Sure.
that for Vixie and I's wedding,
yeah,
just having that feeling of like, while plus ones are, not bad. If you have a limit, you have to cut every little person you can.
sure.
But for something so intimate, sometimes that plus one, especially if you're just really not aware of them, I can understand how that can be for people. So I feel like with both venue size as well as who we saw there, I totally understand. Like that was probably tough calls.
No,
But-
I totally respect that. I mean, and to be honest, like when I got the original invite, the event that we were at, I think that was the first time my lady actually got to meet them, right? And so, like, imagine getting invited to your wedding on the first time I like met you, and you're like,
Exactly.
no.
It would have
So,
been a
like,
little bit odd.
It's I totally get that. Like, but I really was honored that I had the opportunity to be able to be there for that and like see him keep going through this process. Like it was way cool. It was way cool.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, and again, it's one of those weird things. It's like we've seen a lot of our high school friends get married, but to see one of our high school friends, like little brother, like get married is just a different.
Yeah.
I think like the
Yeah.
next big thing would be watching one of our high school friends' kids
Right.
get married. Like that'll be like the next big
God bless
like
America.
like milestone in
That's
like
gonna
the
be,
friendship
that's
of,
gonna be
of life.
stuff.
But yeah, anyway, back to the community stream. Yeah, it is tied right now at Critical Cocktails versus Sublet Inside. So I have an idea, and I don't know if I should post this in Discord for a vote or if we should just call it. But because I feel bad because the community stream is supposed to be an extra stream. It's supposed to be something that they earn, that they choose.
For sure.
But on the off chance that we're not going to be able to shove it into this particular weekend, because realistically, if we don't do it during the day Monday before regular stream, I don't know if we're going to be able to fit it in this month outside of during the week. So the option would be try to force it Sunday. If you could do during the day Monday,
I can do that actually.
it sucks for everybody else who can't watch on a weekday, but
Yeah.
it's one of those like, because I feel bad, right? I always want to do it, but at the same time, we could do it next Friday. We could replace Friday's stream with the actual like
Okay.
community stream. Now it's not really an extra stream as
Yeah.
normal, but it's still the same content. It's still, community created.
Subletting cocktails.
So subletting cocktails. So we kind of do that though. Remember? I mean, you gave me the 9 Live Stealer. That was basically a Long Island.
That is
just alternated.
That is very cool.
I'm
gonna
by
be
the way,
right back. Give me 1 second.
Soul, I have been thinking about that because we haven't created it yet. For the 9 Live Stealer, for a more appealing version, I would do the same thing but swap out the Jägermeister for Dr. Pepper. And then you would have a much more appealing drink that I think the average person would find better. I still don't think it serves the name right for being the 9 Live Stealer without having something that, gets you. But Dr. Pepper swapping out would basically make a much more appealing Long Island alternative. But yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? Would it be appropriate to swap a regular Friday stream with the community stream, or to be more consistent, should we work on trying to actually do a whole extra stream? Because I mean, that was the whole initial point of the community streams, was to be a whole extra one that y'all earned and that was run by y'all. But yeah, this month just kind of got away from us. And Dr. Pepper's my favorite. So out of all the colas, I would definitely say Dr. Pepper would add so much extra flavor, especially with all of the alcohols you're getting. It's not just going to add that sweetness, it's going to add more complexity, and I think it's going to bring the rum out a little bit more. So I would offer up Dr. Pepper as an alternative to those that just are completely turned off by the Jaeger. If optional, I'll make both versions when I finally get Jaeger. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll talk to Kage a little bit more. Again, we're either gonna have to do a last minute weekend weekend version of the community stream this weekend. We're gonna have to throw it in on Monday, or it's gonna have to be next Friday. So I don't know which is the best option. I don't know which is the fairest for y'all. I don't know if you guys even care. I mean, we can get in a mix of streams recently, so I don't know. Things happen. So yeah, we'll keep talking about it. I don't know if I'll put a post in Discord, but either we're gonna have to do it this weekend on Sunday, try to do it on Monday, or yeah, maybe we'll have to do it like on, try it on Monday or something like that. I don't know.
Because I'm in the wrong one.
So yeah, that's what we're just gonna have to figure that out. We're just gonna have to decide if Sunday or Monday is better, or if next Friday is better. I don't want. I mean, it's probably not that big of a deal if we did it next Friday. I think I'm just held up on the fact of it's like a principle thing. The whole point of them were supposed to be extras.
I totally feel that.
So I feel bad for making it the same day as a normal stream, but the content's still the content, right? Yeah. So if you do it in place of a normal stream, you might have to up the game, extend the stream for longer, maybe do 5-6 cocktails or 2 or 3 subletting. I mean, we can't do. Bro, but those usually take 4 or 5 hours already. There ain't no way we're gonna do 2 or 3
sublet. That's wild.
Come on, that one already takes hours. Like that one, I could see doing. I mean, we could easily do 5 or 6 cocktails. Like if we're gonna do critical cocktails, we could easily do 5 or 6. I don't think we can do. I mean, even in marathon mode, we might be able to do 2 subclasses.
Do you think we could do 1 subclass, maybe 2 cocktails?
Oh yeah, we could probably easily do that. I mean, hell. If it ties, how about we do a subletting subclass with 2 themed cocktails to go along with it?
I don't think that's a bad idea.
Okay, so when's the poll end? When does this poll end? It has 6 days, which would put it at.
If it's 6 days, then
it'll end on the 17th, which is right before Friday. So
do you want to just make it Friday then?
Yeah. I don't think the community is going to care. I don't think our community is large enough to really care, and I don't think that we have enough dedicated users that it's going to be that disruptful. And we haven't implemented the new schedule yet, which means we're not really getting in the way of a stream. It's not like I would never want to do that for a Monday. Like I hate canceling Mondays because that's I think everyone's favorite is watching their stuff get reviewed. So it's unfortunate anytime I have to cancel a Monday. So I do everything I can not to get in front of Monday streams.
Right.
But again, Fridays are always so chaotic. They're always just random and different. I don't think it's a big deal if we do it on Friday. So we'll plan for Friday the 18th for the community stream. And if the tie doesn't finalize, then we'll do both. We'll do a subletting subclass with a cocktail.
I don't know if I voted on this one. I'll have to check to see if I actually voted on this one.
And that way we'll do a little bit extra. Let's see. It was Hecate, Soul, and Nugget for critical cocktail. You and Vixie for Tavern Tangents.
Oh.
Cart for pop culture build. And Dez, Pokeniner, and Metsuji for subletting subclasses. Again, people who vote but who rarely show up. Crazy. I love it though. I love it. Subletting subclasses with subletting cocktails. Again, I don't know how you sublet a cocktail though, because all cocktails are subletted. I mean, there's like I think only 4 or 5 technical cocktails, and then everything else is a derivative of it. So it's like,
I guess that's kind of fair.
I mean, I think there's more, but I honestly, I believe there's like less than 10 official cocktails or something like that. And essentially everything's like a derivative. I'm curious if that's actually, if I'm how close I am to that. That's kind of a ballpark guess. Let's see. Let's find out. Let's see if ChatGPT bartender knows.
ChatGPT bartender. Goodness, these allergies love to hate me.
Let's see. Cocktail GPT. Perfect. There we go. All right. So considering how cocktails are made and their bases, and considering, and taking into account what is considered a derivative. How many actual cocktails are there? Okay, so I'm using the Cocktail GPT, so it's basically already pre-prompted or pre-engineered for bartending.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do a super complicated one, but actually, you know what? Okay, so you know what? With a okay, so through the I'm going to do a very basic prompt here. We've actually been talking about prompts outside of stream recently, so that's kind of why I'm also going into this. Tavern GPT, or better yet, GP Tavern. Yeah,
GP Tavern, nice.
Yep. I need to find a name for the one I'm going to build for the Misfit Gamers Studios. I need to find like one. Although I might be able to eventually do a Tavern GPT where we take all the cocktails that I've made and we eventually make a.
Yeah. That would be very cool. Have a nice
like basically load it all up and then have it be a bartender to like dish out those drinks. Like I'm feeling in this mood. Give me a drink, but it only has my drinks to pull from, so it's like it can like anyway.
And what you have on stock,
right?
Nice.
All right. So with the Cocktail GPT, we are going to prompt it: take the role of an experienced connoisseur and cocktail crafter with a detailed knowledge of alcohol history and mixology.
Oh yeah.
Considering how cocktails are made and their bases, and taking into account what is considered an alternative or a derivative, or an alternative or derivative. How many actual cocktails are there, in parentheses, the father cocktails? What are they? And what family and what cocktail family do they represent? Make sense?
Okay, I'm tracking.
So we've given it the idea that you have a history of this, you have a strict knowledge of the history of mixology and alcohol, and we are taking specifically into account the concept of what is an alternative or a derivative of something.
Right.
And therefore prompting it to understand when you create something, what makes it that, and then what makes it different versus an alternative.
Right.
So I'm prompting it to basically get that in its head of, you know, if I create a rum and coke and then I say a Crown and Coke, well, Crown and Coke is just a rum and coke, right? Or a whiskey and coke is the father. So a rum and coke, a Crown and Coke could be considered derivatives of just the whiskey coke. Like the idea behind it's just Coke and brown liquor. So it doesn't matter if it's, you know, Crown Royal. It doesn't matter
so
if
you
it's
would change
rum.
it to a clear liquor, then it would be something different.
Like a vodka Coke might be the top, and then anything derivative of that.
Okay.
Like a vodka soda is just a vodka soda, whether it's Coke, Sprite. So I'm just trying to prime it with the idea of, based on history, and the second layer of that prompt is understand the difference between alternatives and derivatives.
Sure.
Now, categorize alcohol cocktails for me. That's what we're asking it to do. So let's see what it gives us. This is just the fun stuff that I like to do with ChatGPT on my free time.
No, I love it.
Now we're getting into the cocktail bloodlines. You're speaking my language.
Wild.
See, while the world of cocktails is an ever-expanding jungle of overhyped Instagram bait and syrup-drenched monstrosities, there's a relatively small elite group of father cocktails, foundational drinks that spawned entire family trees. These are the alpha mixes, the culinary fossils from which countless modern abominations and innovations descend.
Wild.
Think of them like the blues to rock and roll. Strip away the frills and TikTok trends, and you've got these core formulas. Here is a hit list of these particular potions, each representing their major cocktail families with a brief on their DNA.
Okay. Wild.
Number 1, the old-fashioned. A spirit, a sugar, a bitter, and some water.
Okay.
This is the great granddaddy. No fluff. This is the great granddaddy. No fluff, just booze. Bit of sweetness, touch of bitterness, and a little bit of dilution. Every stirred spirit forward cocktail traces back to this. Your descendants are things like this.
Stirred spirit cocktail?
Every stirred spirit forward cocktail. So anything that's like basically stirred, this is where it started from. So you're going to have things from this. You're going to get things like the Sazerac, one of my new favorite drinks, by the way.
The what?
The Sazerac. It's an amazing drink, and I've been playing around a lot with it. I actually got ChatGPT to make me a Japanese sake-themed one. Oh, was it fucking divine.
Wild.
You get the Manhattan, the Negroni, the Belvedere. These are all regular classic cocktails, but all a derivative of like what you would consider old-fashioned. Like,
Gotcha.
You can call all of those an old-fashioned derivative. Because again, like the Manhattan and Old Fashioned are commonly mistaken because they're so closely related. I think the difference is the type of bitters, and I think the Manhattan has like triple sec. So I think it's just one step removed from the Old Fashioned.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, because the Old Fashioned just has like those sugar and bitters. I'm pretty sure the Manhattan has a little bit of triple sec in it, or simple syrup. Just makes it like a little bit sweeter version. All right, so number 2. Father cocktail or mother cocktail, whichever one. I just said father for whatever. But the martini. This is your spirit plus vermouth or fortified wine plus a bitter, which is usually optional.
Martini. Okay.
Born of the Martinets, refined into the martini. It's an elegant. This is elegance in a coupe. So descendants are things like the Gibson, the Vesper, a dirty martini, and a reverse martini, which I'm assuming that's just more vermouth than there is the spirit. What?
Again?
Hart, thank you so much for the extra subscription. 3 months in a row. I appreciate you. What's going on, my dude? We are just hanging out right now. We're actually going over some fun cocktail knowledge with ChatGPT before we begin our main topic for today. But I asked ChatGPT to give me what are like the basic, the standard cocktails. Like if you had to break every cocktail down into like an alternative or derivative, what are like the father cocktails? What are the cocktails that started them all?
That are at the top.
So yeah, we're going over those.
They
gave us the old fashioned, which would give us things like the Sazerac, the Manhattan, the Negroni. Now we just did the martini, which would give us the Gibson, the Vesper, things of that sort. So number 3, the daiquiri. This is going to be a rum plus citrus plus sugar.
Love me some daiquiris.
The holy trinity of balance. Strong, sour, and sweet. The family stretches far and wide. This is going to give you things like the margarita, which I don't know I think I would imagine the margarita being before the daiquiri. But I guess realistically, the margarita is more you would think blended, and I guess the daiquiri comes first. Because really, the margarita is just the same thing, but with tequila. So I guess if the daiquiri came first with the rum mix, I guess if it probably came from more of like a Caribbean mindset before it went Mexican or Southern American.
Fair enough.
So you get that. You get the gimlet. Ooh, this actually, I guess, yeah, that would spawn my gimlets. I get that. The sidecar, the whiskey sour, and a Tom Collins. All of those spawned off of the daiquiri, which again, didn't really think of it that way, but I guess I get that now. No,
Why is this reminding me of the everything's a sandwich conversation? Lightweight. Like it's a taco, soup, or everything falls.
We're not getting into that conversation.
Anyways.
It's wrong. It's wrong, and you should feel bad. The Gimli I heard is on his way to Isengard. All right, number 4, the Negroni. This is a spirit plus Amaro plus vermouth. It's bitter, complex, and became the prototype spirit forward bitter cocktail. So this is like where bitter cocktails became. So another descendant would be like another version of the Belvedere, the Old Pal. Not a lot of I guess bitter based cocktails.
What was this one called again?
This is the Negroni.
Negroni.
Yeah. If you like bitter, you go for a Negroni.
That's interesting because I do like me some bitter.
You might like a Negroni, then I can make you
one. Wait, okay. I want to wait till the list is finished before I ask this question. But
number 5, the Flip. This is a spirit with a whole egg and sugar or optional spices. This is the protein pack shaker challenge predating the Gym Bros. This is basically where we got eggnog, a coffee flip, or a port flip. So this is where if you take a flip, it's adding the whole egg, which is going to give you a lot of a creamier texture, a creamier flavor. It's going to be more rich. You're not going to taste egg. It's just going to become a lot more rich and creamy.
That's wild.
Like eggnog. It's basically going to be an eggnog.
That's
so imagine a cocktail, but the texture
Yeah.
of eggnog is that's exactly what that does. So yeah, the Flip basically spawns any of those that have the egg. The Sour, this is going to be your spirit, your citrus, and a little bit of sugar. Sometimes an egg white if you want a different type of froth. That egg white by itself won't make it creamy, but it'll make it foamy.
Is this a new one on the list?
This is number 6, called the Sour.
The Sour.
So the Sour is the sibling of the daiquiri, but has the distinct lineage that has its own option for the foam. Like this is the time where you would add in the foam. So you're going to get things like the Whiskey Sour, the Pisco Sour, the Amaretto Sour. This is your classic sweet cocktail, but with that tartness that some people really like. And again, I always like myself a Whiskey Sour once in a while.
Same.
The Collins, which again is interesting because Collins is number 7 on the list, but the Collins is also a descendant, or the Tom Collins is a descendant of a daiquiri, but the Collins is a little bit of a different one, I guess. Again, this is kind of like the two parents between this and a daiquiri came the Tom Collins. But the Collins is basically just sour and soda. So you take sour, lighten it up with a little bit of soda, name for either Tom or John, John Collins or Tom Collins, or basically anybody who likes bubbles, I guess. It's just a
name.
But yeah, so you get like a Tom Collins, vodka Collins, gin fizz. This is where you're going to get basically most of the drinks that call for some sort of sparkling soda or sparkling water. That's where this is going to come from.
What about I haven't heard anything about the mimosa yet.
Not yet. This could be that, but we'll see. Let's see. So the Highball, number 8, this is going to be your spirit plus carbonated mixture, not necessarily citrus, or not usually citrus. So this is going to be simply spirit meets soda or ginger ale or a tonic. This is going to be your gin and tonic, your scotch and soda, your rum and coke, your dark and stormy. These are all highballs.
Okay.
So highball is just is your mixed drink. This is your classic. I think highball is probably everybody's first official what you think of as a cocktail. I think when people first start out drinking, that like some liquor and coke is your idea of like a cocktail, right?
Right.
Like that's what a highball is just some sort of carbonated drink and a shot of liquor in it.
Okay.
You can call it whatever you want, but if you're just having a shot of liquor in some sort of carbonated drink, that is a highball. So
if you walk up to a bar and they say, "Hey, what do you want to drink?" and you say, "I want a highball," are they just going to give you anything?
So very rarely they'll ask you like what liquor you want. So if you say gin, you'll probably get a gin and tonic or a gin and soda. They might just default to a rum and coke. Like again, some places it depends on where you go. Some places, if you ask for a highball, it might just be a rum and coke or a Jack and Coke. Other places you might, if it's a higher class, they might just ask scotch or gin. They might just assume it's going to be soda water or like again, I think it really depends on where you go, but I don't think most places will have. I think it's not uncommon to find a default because I have heard people just order highballs. I just don't think that nowadays the highball is a standard. It might be locally a standard.
Sure.
Like I can imagine if you go to some more rural areas, you're probably going to get more like a Jack and Coke. If you go to somewhere like high fancy class, like uptown New York, they may have the bar itself may have a highball that they're known for. So if you order it, they may just assume you're ordering like what they make.
Got you.
All right, number 9, the punch. This is going to be a citrus or a spirit plus a citrus plus a sugar plus a spice and a little bit of water. All right, Hecate, what is up with the second? Boom. All right, so this is going to be the communal origin. Before the cocktail, there was punch. And this is basically going to be, like your tiki, where your tiki cocktails came from. This is going to be where your jungle juice came from. This is basically just drown the liquor in sugar.
And what was this called?
The punch.
The punch.
This was before cocktail mixing was cocktail mixing, and they just had that. And then, of course, from the punch, you'd get more of the tiki template, which is a more refined version of the punch, which is specifically rum, citrus, spice, sweetener, and something complex.
Tiki template.
Yes. So this is going to be where Polynesian meets Caribbean, or Polynesian fantasy meets Caribbean firepower. This is basically the punches on steroids. So This is where you're going to get your Mai Tai, your zombie, your painkiller, your AMF. These are the ones that like took it to the next level.
Yeah, AMFs are wild.
So yeah, so those are like 10. I get that. I totally agree. I think it's interesting because, yeah, the old fashioned really is kind of its own thing. The martinis, the daiquiris. I guess a margarita really is just a daiquiri. I guess I would totally understand that. That's fun. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that works.
Random little shit that we do on the channel. That has nothing to do with gaming. All right.
It does have to do with our cocktails, though.
Ask ChatGPT to give you more Tavern GPT, and it gave you your favorite one. Well, what was it? You're just going to leave us hanging? You're not just going to let us know what it was? How dare you? Oh, dare you? Barkeep GPT at MisfitGamerStudios. One shot, one drink, no regrets.
Wild.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to name the... I mean, Misfit GPT might just be too on the nose. So I don't know what I'm going to do for like the Misfit Gamers one.
I'm not going to lie. I think you can give it like an actual name.
I might, though. I mean, I have... I do have a name that would technically be perfectly fitting for an Oracle of High Point. So...
Me?
That's basically what it would be.
Lightweight?
It's basically just going to be the High Point Oracle at that point, once I make it.
Dude, imagine being able to interact with it in-game.
That's the whole point of it. Like, literally, the point is for me and my players to never have to miss a beat. Like,
but I mean,
like just on the drive home, like from the wedding, like the fact that what we were doing, any of us at any point, if we had any question, could have just popped that open and then confirmed what we were talking about.
But what I'm thinking of is imagine Dov being able to ask the Oracle question.
I wouldn't want it to devise the answers that I would give in game. Because the delivery is way more important. So it may have the knowledge, it has the hard knowledge, but it doesn't necessarily understand the intent.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want it to give answers unless I confirmed it and said, okay, I'm okay with that. But I wouldn't just let like the player use it and then accept what it said at face value in game.
Fair enough.
Because that could be dangerous for my, for words matter. And if it uses the wrong word, and then we have to sit there and like argue over what it says. Yeah. But as a tool for just in general, I like it.
I do like it.
I mean, again, just like everything, I wouldn't allow it to be abused. It's like you can't just sit there and ask it everything and never remember anything.
Yes, like the whole purpose is for it to help fill in gaps.
Not like it will not be your player character sheet. Like you can't just sit there and be like, how many arrows do I have?
What's my intelligence modifier again?
Yeah, you ain't doing that shit with my GPT.
Wild. Just turn your brain off. Although, lightweight, that's what Avery does. You just be like, roll this. Everything else happens for you.
I mean, that's true, yeah. But a little bit different than telling you, like, you know, information. We haven't gotten a chance to sit down. This week has been, I mean, we had the wedding this weekend. I've been working all week on admin stuff, so we haven't gotten a chance to sit down and figure out how we want to review the module yet. I know we had some ideas, but it's going to be I think it's going to be a little bit of a different approach because it's we've never done a module, but I don't know how we're going to approach it in terms of like, it's not really something that we can really rate. You know what I mean? It's like I can't throw a module into high points, so the rating system no longer applies.
Right.
And what are we really comparing it to? Because we haven't even done like a traditional module build yet.
The biggest thing I could say we could do for it is like a showcase, very similar to how
which would just be us reading through it. But I just, my biggest fear of that is because I do like the idea, like we do have some plans on going through other types of modules. Like I do want to like sit down and do like a Curse of Strahd walkthrough. I just don't know how we're gonna like do that one because I want that to feel unique, but other than just any other like homebrew.
We were also talking about like just straight up reading through a module.
That's what I'm talking about, like the Curse of Strahd. I just don't know how, like, again, but like how we're gonna like build upon that as an episode, other than just reading through and going, oh, I would do this as a DM and I would do that as a player. Next phase, like. I want it to feel like its own series, and I want that to spawn like potentially testing them out.
Yes.
So that's where I don't want to just.
We might have even talked about doing that as potentially offline content
where we could actually sit down, test it out, maybe actually
first.
Yeah. So I just I don't have a better answer in terms of like when we're gonna get to actually looking over the module, just because that's gonna be a bit of a challenge for us. In terms of how we want to do it, I want to make it entertaining. I don't want to make it just another, we read through it and go, yeah, that looks cool. I want it to fit in with the rest of the stuff too, because I want to highlight it the same way I would highlight something like Curse of Strahd, right? I don't want to just read it through yours and then we develop a better way to do it and then highlight the others just because like they're the professional or the actual like paid ones. So I think my ultimate goal would be once we start. Oh, guess we'll just finish downloading.
Oh, wild.
Thank you, Marvel Rivals. Thank you, Marvel Rivals, for reminding me that was our topic for today. So Car, once we have some better ideas on how we want to tackle it and when we can, it'll probably be this summer as we develop things, because I am hopefully getting a new PC soon. So we'll try to add it in sometimes this summer, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon, just because we want to be able to give it the attention, the same attention that we would give any other type of module or any other game set, because it's also, keep in mind, like once we start doing that, it's going to lead to a whole new series type. You know, we don't just want to read through Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
My idea for stuff like that is most people see it get played through. Most people don't get to see it get analyzed.
Yes, they don't get to see it from a DM's perspective.
Right. And they don't get to see it. Sometimes they don't get to see it all the way through. Or they see it in too many chunks that they sometimes miss why certain pieces were placed somewhere or how one thing leads to another. So I really want to tackle these types of modules in that engaging way where we're looking at it and we're peeling it apart. We're peeling back the layers, not just as a, let's show you how the magic trick works so you can do it yourself, but to understand like, what is the DM going through when they're trying to pace this out, and what are the puzzles actually meant to like represent? And if we can pace that out properly, that is also going to eventually lead into, because I want to do that first, right? I want to stick with D&D content first, but eventually that will lead into things like being able to test out Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And maybe the SW5E. You know, anything that we're interested in looking at. I think testing out the modules and getting a format for how we're going to approach those, because those are things that we don't play with, but they're still D&D themed. Once we get into something that actually has like new rules, that's going to be a whole nother level. But understanding a module that has its own like built-in rules that we're familiar with, but just its own set of like parameters, that's going to be, I think, the first challenge, is to figure out how do we want to approach something that has parameters that we don't normally use. And then that will be the open door for what we can do in the future with, different games.
For sure.
So that's why I'm hesitant, and that's why I'm not trying to like push you off. I honestly want to make sure that we give the same attention that we would Curse of Strahd or anything Dark Sun or anything else that we try to approach.
Especially because a module, that's chunky.
It's very chunky.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to have to be episodic. I don't know if that's going to have to be like a marathon kind of stream where we just sit down and just start plugging through it.
Yeah.
So that's just, that's where we're at with that. Want to do it, but we want to make sure that we approach it like properly.
Right. I mean, it's basically the same thing we were trying to do with the showdown when we got sent that. Try to figure out the best way to approach it before we tackle it.
I mean, if you want any like other types of feedback, looking at in chat right now, if you want any more immediate feedback, you can also post more in the Discord in like the actual creation part, or the home brewing or anything else like that. You can always get more information there in order to like get our reactions earlier, or even get some chat reactions, even just by snippets, right? You don't have to post the whole module there, but you can just post snippets and try to get like people together. So, but yeah, we'll definitely give you as much of our feedback as we can.
I'm curious if this is for like in preparation for play testing or something like that.
Right. Is this Monday? Yeah. So basically, whenever we have to skip a day, we just push whatever was going to happen 1 week. So whatever we planned. So it was the Barbarian, I believe, that we had planned. What's the next review?
Yes. So it's let me actually pull it up so I'm not talking up a butt here.
Misfit Tavern Chronicles could be interesting.
For the name, for okay.
Misfit Tavern Chronicles, interesting. Misfit Gamers Chronicles, interesting. All right. Well, we do have a switch places or switch spots. I think is that the longer one or the shorter one? I gotta double check. I never remember which one's which. I should have like a cheat sheet for myself on which one is which, because I never remember. I gotta figure out which time.
Oh.
Hello. Can I go to irritating?
Rude.
Takes me forever to get anything with Twitch. Twitch don't like me.
It's been wild.
Oh, that's right. So change places is for the remainder of the stream. But that costs...
The remainder of the stream?
That's change places, but that's 25K. That costs 25K.
Less.
So it's called change, like permanent change.
That's... I really hope nobody saves that much.
Switch spots is only for 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah. God. I have to always remember which one's which, because I always forget what I change the names to.
That's crazy.
All right.
Well, I apologize for my tab ADHD.
It's fine. I don't need anything, because most of what we're going to be talking about is going to be open to discussion. All right.
You already started?
Yeah. It's going to be that top right one once it starts flashing.
Alrighty.
We're done. All right. So, am I still the host? Does that mean I'm not the host anymore?
No, of course you're the host. What are you talking about? I don't.
No, you're apparently running the show now.
I'll run the show. Listen,
you're in the captain's chair.
I will say this: it definitely does feel like you're driving the spaceship, right? Like this very much feels like a captain's chair, and like you got your whole view screen and everything up. It's wild. Like
you got the buttons.
I'm a Trekkie, so like it's a vibe, which is kind of always why I have my little scientist station over here.
Right? Yeah, you're just doing your little thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm just my tricorder, whatever.
This is a lot more. I don't know. You might have the comfier chair though. Like,
is it?
The couch is nice.
I vibe on the couch for sure, but I mean, listen, it is the captain's chair for a reason. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, it's definitely a vibe. So
we'll have to poll chat sometime and see if that means that we have to change not just places, but do we also have to change roles? Like,
listen, if you want this stream to keep moving forward the way we intended to, like, I would hope you get to keep your host, because
maybe that should be a separate one. Maybe we should have a switch places, but then we should also have like a switch roles and a change roles. So like they could do one or the other or both, but at that point, like the other person would have to like.
Does that mean I have to make up stuff that we're about to talk about? I start changing the direction of the stream.
I don't know. I mean, that's I guess that's what we'll have to figure out with chat, because yeah, I don't usually tell you a whole lot before stream sometimes.
Exactly. Like, I get to explore it the same way everyone else does. Just like I don't tell you anything about the reviews.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I don't know. I like it. I like that chat likes it. I sometimes wonder what goes through chat's mind when they do the switch spots. Like, is it just because it looks different, or is it just because it makes us feel awkward? Or do you guys actually expect it to where he takes over and just basically like takes over the conversation?
Them delete redeems to what?
I don't understand.
Oh, different, not delete.
Oh, gotcha. Make them different.
Got you. Swap change roles.
Okay, we could do that. We could absolutely.
Both my friends, wild.
We could do that actually. If you guys want, I could make one that makes us change roles, and whenever that happens, Kage would have to take over as host for the rest of that stream.
Y'all gonna have a weird stream.
I mean, I will say this: like for the most of the part, the live streams are a lot of fun, and I don't really mind too much. Maybe I might disable that one for some of our more like serious content, like the showdowns, the pop culture builds, because of editing purposes. It'd be really, really weird if all of a sudden we had to change places and we're like halfway in the conversation, like it just edits to us in different chairs.
Wild.
And then we just never say anything about it in the YouTube video. It's just suddenly we're in different chairs.
That would be a very interesting quirk of our videos, though. It'd be kind of wild, but still.
What is this? Oh yeah, I'm not doing his job. I would never change roles like outside of this. Yeah, they want to see if I could format things the way you do. Like, I don't even know where he begins. I have zero idea where he even starts with formatting this stuff. So it just wouldn't get formatted that way at all. Like I wouldn't even understand.
I mean, here's the deal. Like I like being able to do what I do. I get to like organize all the things in our vaults, all the stuff for our leaderboard and everything, and finding a consistent format for us to like pull things in, like that is my type of development, because I want to be able to have like everything that we come in, whenever we create stuff, whenever we have our image to items, whenever we do our subletting subclasses, I want to be able to punch these things into a template, like, and it's gonna make our stuff a lot more accessible for you guys in the future. But I mean, listen, I get the mentality. Like when Vortex was first doing this, he just took what he was given and was just like, let's see what we got, you know? And like, but that's what you got to do. So
I still remember sitting on this couch on that first episode, looking at that janky ass webcam.
Right, because you were on the couch.
Camera. Yeah, I just holding my like, because I had no audience and I knew I had no audience. So I remember sitting in the middle of this couch. I had the janky setup with the webcam. And I was holding my microphone and I was just talking. I was just like, I did the intro. I did the intro the same way. And it was just like, I knew from day one.
I love that.
I knew from day one that was the intro. But after that, it was just, I had no idea. I knew I was talking to a camera. And for me, it was more of I just want to document the stuff I know about D&D. And then here we are almost 2 years later. And it's just, there I am back on the couch. I'm just not holding the camera anymore.
You don't got to hold it anymore.
But yeah, I remember that was like the first 3 episodes. I sat on this couch just talking to a webcam, holding a microphone. And then it evolved into this. Absolute insanity.
Truly is. But I love it. No, it's good stuff. But we wouldn't be here if it weren't for these guys. But posture check, thank you.
Thank you.
But at the same time, we definitely wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you making all this stuff happen. So I'm just glad I get to be along for the ride,
right,
and have fun while I do it.
Oh, and that's the thing that I've learned more recently. You know, I was getting kind of stressed out over things, but at the end of the day, love the process. And that's, you know, we've always enjoyed what we've done.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a stream that we've done where we've, like, I've had days where Kage's come over and I've just straight up told him, like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I got nothing. I have nothing planned. I don't have the energy. But there's never been a stream, like, we've had plenty of streams that's been the lead up to. I don't think there's ever been a stream that we've ended being like, oh, that was shit.
Dude,
I don't wanna do-
sometimes
like-
those days we go way longer than we expected, and it just flows, man.
Right.
Like sometimes it just needs to get that little bit of momentum.
And that's the thing is, I don't think we've ever had a single bad stream where at the end of it we were upset or disappointed or
that wasn't what we. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a time where we've just been like, we shouldn't have done that. Like, there's been times where we're like, we could have done things better.
Sure.
But we've always ended it with like, that was a good stream. And it's always led us to be like, same time next week. Like, so there's something to be
100%.
said for as much as there's been times where I've been let down, I've let myself down with our progress. I mean, there was like a good like 8 months where we were just having like banging steady process. Like every other stream was like 2 followers. And then it kind of, filtered out a little bit and it's been kind of going in waves.
Yeah.
And it got to me. I mean, it got to me. But
It'd be like that.
Again, it's reframing the mindset of we've said before, this was never meant to replace anything. It's just now becoming more of a potential to add. But at the end of the day, loving the process, like I forget what it was, but it was some TikTok about someone talking about like, motivation for being a content creator. And the premise was someone saying that they're mad about, not getting the views. Like, oh, I like this content, I'm doing all of this and I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to, and I can't get too many views.
Right.
And then they complain about like seeing somebody else, because I've done this before, where you see someone else who is just not putting in the effort you are, not putting in the quality you are, and just has the following. And you let that get to you. And it's very easy to let that get to you. But the whole point of like that the motivation is when you see it that way, you're not in love with the art, you're in love with the expectation. You're there for the hype, you are in love with the idea of acknowledgement and recognition. You're not there for the love of creating the art. And when you realize that those that are successful with the less quality, with the less effort, it's not that they've been doing less effort, it's not that they have less quality, it's that they're not doing it for the same reason, right? It's the same reason why I stopped myself where we are with our gear. I didn't go to the 4K camera because we're not there yet, right? I could put all of the money into it if I want the end result. But those that have 4K cameras right now have been doing it for 10 years. And I'm not saying that, you don't need one till.
Right.
But the people that you look at and go, well, I want to stream like them. Like, you can't be Mr. Beast. You can't go onto YouTube and start doing Squid Game level shit.
Yeah.
You have to start where Mr. Beast started, counting to 1 million on camera. No one wants to watch that shit anymore. No one wanted to watch it back then, but someone had to be the first to do it. And that's the thing, is like all of these people who are successful that you compare yourself to that may not be at the level you think you want to be at. The problem is they weren't thinking about all that shit. The last 10 years, they've just been getting up, turning the camera on, and putting out content. And eventually the stars align, because you got to remember, for every one person you like that you think you can be like, there's 10,000 who have tried and quit already.
Yeah.
And 1,000 of those 10,000 are still trying. Like 9,000 have already quit, but 1,000 are still trying, and you only know one of them. And that's the idea, is they're not thinking about those numbers. That person just every single day gets on camera, does their content, and the people that follow them are there because because they've been there.
It's interesting because I feel like you very much put the nail on the head when you were talking about like it's like art, and you got to be in love with the art itself, because when you're painting something, when you're crafting something, like anything can be your canvas, right? Some people's canvas is like, I genuinely see what you've been doing with ChatGPT. That's its own form of art, crafting these prompts to get what you're looking for, like coaxing out of it. It's just like a somebody who's working with clay trying to sculpt something into that didn't exist before. Like that's exactly what you're creating, is something that didn't exist before. And so being able to do that in a lot of different ways. Some people like to do that on YouTube. They like to mess with their viewership. They like to experiment with it. And even what they're doing on camera isn't in and of itself necessarily to get the views, but they're working their craft and they're enjoying doing it, right? They're like experimenting with what they like, with what they don't like, with what gets good response. And like if you're genuinely enjoying that full-on process, dude, rock that. Like that's exactly what it should be. Like I feel like too many people are they look at that as like a bad thing, you know, but like when you're out there, you're a basketball player, you're practicing, you're doing all this stuff, like you're going to hit things sometimes, you're going to miss things sometimes, it's going to be challenging. So I don't know, I'm super duper here for it. But
and that's kind of the thing where I've gotten to is like, I've realized that after 2 years, like those days, even though it gets to me looking at the numbers sometimes, it still kind of amazes me, but it doesn't, it never stops me. Like it never makes me want to call off the next stream, right? It's just like, we're not there yet. But I've also known that I haven't been doing anything else until now. Like I've started, working to get ourselves onto other social media platforms. I've started to work on doing, more notification stuff. A lot of the projects that I'm working on admin wise are just to help more engage and build a community outside of Twitch, because that's where our development and longevity is going to be, our growth at least is going to be, is outside of Twitch. So, I'm now at the point to where, over a year ago, I couldn't even have imagined doing YouTube videos. Like I knew for a fact the reason why I was doing the live stream is because I can't edit, and I had no interest, I had no motivation. I was always overwhelmed thinking, how can I ever catch up to editing if we're doing 2 episodes a week? And now here I'm at, very much in a position to where I'm pumping out an edited video every single week on our main channel. And that's not something I thought I could do as of a year ago. I thought it was going to be too much. I thought it was going to be too overwhelming. I did not think that we would be developing edited video content at the quality that we are, let alone just in general, for at least another 2 years. I did not think that I would be producing that without someone I had to be paying. So the fact that I was able to add that into my schedule without a huge detriment, and the fact that I'm not necessarily enjoying it in the sense that I'm not going to continue being the editor forever, and I'm not really that interested in becoming a better editor, but it is an interesting process, and I do have a sense of pride when the episode's done, and I feel good about the episode, and I'm getting better each time I edit it. So it's all a process, but it's that idea that it's not going to grow if I don't enjoy the process itself, because you can't just, it's not D&D. You can't start at level 20 and then just say, well, because I chose that, I'm going to get there, right? That's the D&D mindset of, I've chosen my path, and therefore, just because I played long enough, I'm going to get what I want. That's not how it is. You have to earn every step of it, right? And so that's where I'm kind of changing that mindset of just understanding that it's about earning each of those steps and enjoying the process it takes to get there. And yeah, if this ever got in the way of real life, obviously real life takes precedence. But I look at myself and go, I think of the lifestyle, and I'm just like, this is twice a week for a couple hours with one of my best friends. And even if it doesn't go anywhere, if this fell apart, what would I have filled it with? What was I doing before this? Video games? Like, not that that's a bad thing, not that I didn't enjoy it, but what was I doing? Like, what was I doing twice a week before this? And all of those few hours a week I prepped for this. And even what was I filling that up with? That obviously it wasn't making me money and it wasn't enriching my life. At least with this, it's fun. At least this is a much better hobby that's more fulfilling to me.
Exactly. It's like, even if it did, for whatever reason, fall apart tomorrow, would any of the time you've spent been time wasted?
Exactly. I mean, I can't even tell you the games I played before we did this, but I can tell you 90% of the episodes we've done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've definitely developed a lot more of a richer mindset from this than any of the video games I played. So yeah, no, I'm not mad at where we're at. Would I like to be further? Yes. Sure. But I'm not delusional in thinking, there's people out there who, and it's like, no, there are people out there who've been doing it, that are doing just fine, who've been doing it longer than us. And you know what? If it just takes us going 10 years, if it just takes us doing animated YouTube shorts, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take, but all it's going to take is us not stopping. That's the biggest thing. Is I looking at the statistics of YouTube and Twitch, more than 50% of all streamers, just from the very beginning that they've been doing analytics, I think it's like 56% of all of them stop before the 2 year. So that right there, you got to understand, like, when you're a streamer, that benchmark just to get past 2 years, and it's not success, it's just to still turn the camera on after
Yep.
2 years puts you in that top 40 percentile, that top 45 percentile. Every day after that creeps you closer to the top. Now, again, you don't plan on being, you know, a Mr. Beast or anything that's like that, but it is once you're after those couple years, it's like at that point, stopping's the only thing that's gonna really make you a detriment. Stopping or not learning. You know what I mean? If you're doing the same thing since day one and you haven't grown and you haven't done anything different, no sympathy, right?
Sure.
But as long as you don't stop and you keep trying new stuff and keep trying to grow, that 2-year mark is like, really for me, it's going to be a big milestone because that will put us in a much higher echelon of those that have attempted this before. And that'll be a huge benchmark for me to just say that I've, like, again, you know, it's a big thing for us, but like, I didn't know I would be able to keep going. Like, I just started a new idea and now here it is almost 2 years later. Like, that's going to be huge for me in just my growth, because I've never been able to commit to a personal project like that didn't have some sort of like
external
return. Yeah.
No, I feel that. No, this is very cool. I'm very excited and very, very, very proud to be a part of it. So, you know, we're making moves, man. I love it.
Absolutely. We got a couple things in the chat too. Soul says that from their point of view, they're unable to tell on the days that we're not feeling it, just because of the energy that we normally bring to stream. I appreciate that, Soul. Thank you. That's actually kind of surprising. I can tell. I know the days, not because I'm in it, but like, feel like it doesn't. I feel like it comes across on stream. So I appreciate that I've been able to take on the host. That was my biggest concern, right? There are days that I just am not energetic, and I was like, if I have to be a host, I have to be able to be on. And I normally don't like forcing that button, but I don't feel like I force it here, which is why I feel there are days that it's obvious that I am not into it, and there are days that I'm very obviously into it.
But I think it's a space that you're very comfortable in. So finding a place to be works for you, even in an energy where you might not be feeling it. Like there's more space for you to move around in and find, like, all right, I can sit here and I can operate in this way. So I totally feel that.
I mean, and that's why I chose D&D. I mean, all those, you know, 2 years ago when I first started this, the whole point of D&D was it was the one thing I knew for sure, without a doubt, I would never get tired of, and at any moment I could start talking about. Like, it was one of those things I would just never run dry in general of. So it's proven true. At least I chose correctly.
Big facts.
Cart also has some lovely words for us, saying that they love us both and everything that we do. Well, we appreciate you, Cart. Thank you so much.
Most def.
We do appreciate the community and love all of the support that you give us. It, again, without you guys, like, again, love the process, but at the same time, if the community was as dead as it was day one, we wouldn't. Like, I will 100%. I don't care how much fun we're having.
It's hard to do it to nobody.
If we had no audience, this would have turned into just gaming nights long ago. We probably just would have started just D&D once a week, and that would be it. Not that that would be a bad thing.
Sure.
But you guys showing up absolutely keeps us showing up. You know what I mean? Like, you can only love the process so much.
Yeah.
You have to have some sort of, you know, give and take. So we appreciate y'all. I think we should do it. Okay, so Cart says thinking about a seasonal stream. Doesn't have to be the exact date, but something related to like Christmas, Halloween, Easter, April Fools. I've thought about doing seasonal, like holiday ones. That just comes down to me planning them and figuring out like how we want to justify them. But the bigger we get, like, I feel like those are kind of necessary.
Sure.
Like doing themed
I think
ones.
they're fun. Like, you know, even if it's just something as simple as, you know, on Halloween you come in a costume, or
right.
You know,
I've always liked doing ones where helping. Like, I always wanted to do one on a holiday to like around Christmas time, just to make it generalized. Because I know a lot of people don't are kind of some, you know, there's some kind of fight on whether it's holiday, Christmas time, holiday time, whatever that time of year.
Sure.
But being able to do like a stream where we do almost like a workshop to kind of walk through like how to develop like in-game holidays for your world.
Oh, that would be very cool.
I always thought about that being a really cool.
That would be very cool.
So like how to make them enriched. How do you make them unique and feel
what elements
more
would
than
you need?
Just a copy paste
Sure.
with some new colors. So that would be really cool to do on holidays. I even just think like if we get these one shots built, even doing holiday one shots with with chat would be really cool.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten to today's topic yet, but yeah, we'll be talking about that a little bit. So I could see that. That'd be kind of cool.
Wild.
Yeah, you could be going at life a certain way, and then bam, you get hit with a deck of many things. All of a sudden, you're just mixed with a whole new lifestyle. That happens.
Well, I guess I'm here now. That's funny.
Soul saying they had gotten off work, and then as soon as they got home, they got the Discord message of a new stream. I'm glad that, again, that it's one of those things where it's like, I know it's not like that should be normal, right? Like, you know, you do things long enough, you make a community, you make relationships. It should be normal to consider like people are going to look forward to you, right? And I'm not saying that, you know, as it's just very weird because I look at those things and I'm like, those things happen to people with like 1 million followers on YouTube. Those things happen to someone who has like 3,000 viewers on Twitch, right? Like I imagine those level of success is when people are like looking forward to it.
Sure.
I look at things like this, like I always, to be completely honest, like felt like when people see us go live, it's more of a, oh, I got nothing better to do.
Sure.
Like, oh, I know those guys. I talk to them. Sure. I'll help. But like, I'll go give them a view.
I'll go hang out.
I'm not busy at the moment.
Sure.
And it's like, I know we have people who just show up instantly. Like, boom, they're just there. We go live, they're there. And it's weird because it just never clicks that way for me. I always feel like we're not big enough to have fans. We have a community. We have people who like this idea and who have a chance to express themselves. And maybe there's times where I feel like it's a little bit selfish. Like, of course, people want to hear their stuff talked about live.
Sure.
So there's a lot of reasons I've justified to myself why it's not about us. Like, there's so many ways I've justified the fact of our loyal community and our loyal, like the people who are here, the fact that they're subbing every month. And I have justified so many ways that it's not us, about why that happens. And I'm like, that's kind of unfair both to us and to them. You know what I mean? But it's hard for me to look at that and go to like just look at this and just like we're just talking shit about D&D, and yet there are people who are like not just like, oh, excited to see that we go live, but there are people out there that are like look forward to it every week, that are like it's just, yeah, I am not ready for that, and I never was. But Listen, it's also because I was just so in the mindset that you don't get there until you're like living off of that lifestyle.
I will say, I think the people that, I think there might be different types of people that do that. Meaning, like, for me, it almost feels like getting to come over to your buddy's house, come in to join our stream. Mm-hmm. Like, you get to come, hang out, vibe with us, talk some D&D. Maybe we'll talk about your item or whatever the case may be. I think we just provide an atmosphere that certain people like to be around, and other times the people that are going to those bigger streams, they are fans. They are like, oh my gosh, like Billie Eilish is here. Like, oh, I want to go see Billie Eilish. I want to go be in the audience.
They just don't want to miss seeing it.
Yes, like
live.
They want to go be in the audience. I don't feel like the people that come here want to be in the audience. They want to be in the room.
Well, and I don't know if that makes
sense.
And see, I've always looked at that from that point of view. Is it's not about what they want. It's more just about what we hopefully make them feel like. Like, I want people who come into chat not to feel like they're here coming to watch a show. I want them to feel like they are the interactive live audience that is throwing us, like, again, like kind of like more like Who's Line than it is like Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I want you there not just to sit back and listen to what we have to say. I want you there feeding us what we're talking about. And again, like you said, like feeling like you're part of the room, feeling like you came over to hang out with your buddies. And when you speak up, you're part of the conversation, instead of a lot of those, you know, audience members where you just see chat going a mile a minute and they're talking to each other, which I want, you know me,
we do, and we will get there.
Because
like,
it helps the engagement part, but it also is nice when chat knows that we are paying attention. And I do think like it's always nice when you are in that kind of a community where everything is everybody's a part of it.
Imagine you started throwing house parties, and when you first started throwing them, only like 4 or 5 people showed up, right? And everybody knew each other, everybody could talk with each other, nobody's gotta like yell or talk over each other or anything. Like, yes, some dim music in the back, but like as time goes on, you get more and more people, friends of friends. It like shows up, and you get this freaking banging party that's going, and now you're having to like shout across the room.
You're not at every conversation, but anybody still has a chance to walk up to the host.
Exactly.
And be like, hey, killer party. And the host is going to be like, I appreciate you showing up. So, and like,
exactly. And so it's the evolution of the party. And so I don't think either one is a bad thing. I just think that, you know, this is the stage we're at, and these are the people that are, you know, enjoying being here, and they'll probably still enjoy being here when the party gets bigger, because then they're gonna be like, yeah, I know the host, bro.
Right? Like, man.
I remember when there was just 4 of us.
It's like that flamingo inflatable in the pool. I bought that.
That's right. Mine. That's right.
All right, what else we got? So we have a highlighted message from Cart. So on stream we could do, for like one of the holiday ones, a 2-faction fight among elves, where one elf are fighting for holiday and the other ones are fighting for Christmas.
Oh, wild.
So you do like an in-game battle where they're trying to fight for like what's officially what you have to call it. That would be hilarious. I like
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. That's funny.
Cart says, trust to him, we're big enough to have fans. We're just not big enough to have stalkers. And believe me, we've had conversations about that. If it seems like we've taken a bit of a back step with some more of our off-stream relationships and like things like gaming with y'all, there are some things behind admin stuff that we've talked about where the bigger we get, the more we have to think about it. So just, yeah, if it seems like we're being a little bit more mindful about certain interactions, it's because people are weird. And all it takes is one really weird person to make things very bad for everybody. So again, it's not y'all, it's just we're recognizing that maybe we have to be more mindful about, like, you know, what we do and what people
just be aware ahead of time, so you don't gotta, you know, stay ready so you don't gotta get ready type situation.
Yeah, I mean, hey, people can't have evidence against you if you don't do nothing.
Exactly.
So all I'm saying is I'd much rather be able to not have any evidence against me for anything dumb I might say or do.
Right.
Or what someone can interpret. You know what I'm saying? Like, you DM the wrong person and all of a sudden you're in the DMs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's crazy. I've seen some weird stories out there of the things people try to pull, and I get that Discord's like its own thing, but I'm like, you know what? I'd rather just have most of my conversations in public, because at least that way, what I say can't be misconstrued or clipped out of context. It's like, hey, it's all there in front of everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so
big facts.
But yeah, no, I'm glad we don't got stalkers yet. And I don't ever want stalkers, but at the same time, there's a point at which if we do reach a certain level of fame, we'll call it, that might be inevitable.
Yeah. Like you were saying earlier, I'm just like, even if we do get caught, like, who would want to stalk us? Like, just 2 randos out here? Like, whatever, I guess. I suppose.
And again, just Soul coming in with another description of how they feel about the stream. Just looking forward to it with the energy, the vibes, the fun, having it be a nice refresher from daily stress. So again, and it's like, you know, we've always talked about, like, that's just kind of what we've always wanted to be, this like chill stream. And I feel like there's a lot of chill streams out there, but I will even say, like, between the streamers that I watch many different streamers, and I try to watch like the people that they recommend, and there is something about just, you could have 2 people doing nearly the same thing and just one doesn't vibe with you, right? One just doesn't get you in the mindset. And, you know, of course, we've always wanted to have this chill, laid back, just come and hang out and chat with us vibe. But again, it's just one of those things, again, like imposter syndrome. I just never really convinced myself that, while we had like the appearance of just, hey, we're here to talk about D&D and chill, it's that, you know, I could never convince myself that we actually had that effect. That's, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, how do you ever truly convince yourself of that? Because there's always going to be that question of, like, again, I can easily convince myself that there are 100 other reasons why people are here, and accept the fact that they're
all things are possible. Like, yes, but you know, a lot of the times at the end of the day, you just gotta ask yourself, regardless of what is, what am I gonna do? Like, and so I don't know. I'm super here for it. I love the constant encouragement, and we definitely appreciate you guys you know, being real with us, telling us what's up, you know, helping us to do a lot of the development that we're doing, you know, answering the polls in chat, even if we do get a lot of ties, you know.
Well, and the polls really help too, because again, it's not just to get your feedback, but it's also to just show that your feedback matters, that we want you guys to choose
Vortex.
the development that you're going to, that's going to bring you back, right? Like, we want to actually be able to choose, like, what are the things that we should be focusing on that bring you in, but while also maintaining true to ourselves, right? Like, we're not going to do things that we dislike, but there are things that, you know, again, like how we set up the cameras. That's not a big deal for me. I can change that up if it's going to be more appealing for everybody, right? Like, going from when we had the split cameras that like were just floating in space to this, like, you know, side by side.
Yep.
I think that's a great change, but people now want us on top of the screen instead of on the side when we're looking at stuff. That's the kind of stuff I don't mind, you know, changing up. I mean, I'm not going to change up how we do our episodes. Like, I'm not going to change up the live vibe, and I'm not going to go into scripted content just because people want it.
Sure.
But if people want more content building and less educational stuff, that's a shift we can make.
Sure. By the way,
our time is up.
Our timer is up.
All right, let's go back to normal. All right. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the switch places or the switch spots. Well, that was a very, very nice little intro. I guess we're an hour and a half in, so shall we talk a little bit about the future plans for Gaming with Chat? Because that's what we're here for. Everybody.
It is indeed.
This is definitely probably going to be one of the few unedited or live streams that will remain unedited. Like, I don't have a feeling that this is going to be a very big day, but we should change our room lighting. You should change the walls. You should change the way you dress. You should change your hairstyle. You should change basically everything about us except the content, and we'll just get more famous. I get that.
Big facts.
All of that never do for your stream or for the people. Stick with what you guys have and sprinkle a little bit of the pizzazz. Yeah, and that's the thing for me, is like, I will definitely change things over time, right? Like, this room was not designed for this stream. This entire office. I mean, I've done my office walkthrough before, but this was built as my music studio originally, right? Like, everything about this place was meant to be a one-man music studio, and now it's my streaming studio. Which, hey, you know what? It works. But, you know, as we develop, like, I'm definitely gonna want more camera positions. I'm definitely gonna want more stuff to make the stream look better. But I've just learned that that's not high priority. It's not necessary to be like famous. Like, I mean, we had the weird experience when we were at the hotel for the wedding. We logged into YouTube, but we don't like logging in remotely, so we just used free YouTube. We haven't used free YouTube. I can't remember the last time we just used YouTube as the plain sight.
Sure.
It defaults and maxes you out at like 480p. By the way,
what?
Just 480p is just the quality YouTube has when you don't log in, plus all the ads and shit. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? If that's the default, and there's a lot of people who don't have premium, so I'm just like, if that's the default, and yet people are still getting millions of views, quality doesn't matter. If YouTube is any indication that if the standard 480p, and if you think maybe at least 40% of them aren't YouTube Premium, minimum 40%, probably way more than that. But if you think about it, if 40% out of a million people aren't paying for it, but they're still dedicated to watching those, you know what I mean? They're still showing up for those channels, quality doesn't matter. And again, when I do the research, when I go to these other competitors of ours and I watch them and I try to, you know, intake their content, and there are just things like the visuals or the cadence or their audience, and they're just things that are cringe to me, that I'm just like, this is it? Like, this is what you're producing, but you have 9 times the viewership I do? It stops becoming a question to me of what am I doing wrong, and more of a, so where did you go right? At what corner did you turn to get there? Because it's not like, oh, you only did one thing and you don't deserve it. It's just more of Is it just because you've been here for 5 years?
I'll also
Did you do like a subathon with
you have to ask yourself, do you want what they have? Because a lot of the times what these people have, even though they have a lot of subscribers and viewership, what they have specifically is potentially very volatile.
Oh,
and so
100%.
it's one of those situations where like, yeah, they've cultivated it by doing X, Y, and Z, and they're doing a, but it's,
well, and here's the other thing. Would I prefer 100 viewers that never type a single thing in chat but religiously show up, or 20 viewers that always talk when they show up?
I'm gonna guess the latter.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's the thing is like you just said, what do you want? Like, there are some people who just have viewers simply to they just want to watch. They just want to be there. They want to have their FOMO, right? They just don't want to miss out on anything. Whereas, do you want people who show up and submit and who go into Discord and who give us their perspectives, right? Like,
yes,
that's the community I'd much rather have. I'll take the less numbers with more enrichment than I will just the sheer.
Because I mean, when you really think about it, like that's what we're here for. We're here to enrich, to expand, to grow, and like if we don't have a community involved doing that, then like I feel like there's a lot that we're missing out on.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so anyway, that's a lot of just I don't even know what that was.
Love it, side tangents.
Yeah, behind the scenes stuff. So I've been talking a lot about gaming with chat for a long time. It's been an idea that I've wanted to do, and I just haven't decided how I want to do it, whether it's going to be with Avery, whether it's going to be directly through Twitch, whether it's going to be mostly like narration and dialogue and all of chat votes on stuff, or if I bring in individuals and let them run a campaign, like a one shot on stream with you know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways to do it. But I will say, I think I have found one of my favorite ideas so far that I think will be the first attempt we do. Because I think it's going to be the most simple. It's going to be the least involved in terms of D&D integration and what we're going to have to remember. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's also going to be completely unique and different.
Love that.
But it also will give us a chance to possibly test out a VTT.
Okay, which one are you thinking?
I don't know yet. That's where this is where this episode's starting the development of this. This is day one development of gaming with chat. So we talked about a different topic for today. I messaged Kage because I didn't know what to do for today, and I had some cool ideas over the week. And originally I was like, hey, I had this idea. I don't know why I was thinking Marvel Rivals because we've been talking about it a lot. Yeah. But I was thinking about like image to item and doing some stuff in my head. And for whatever reason,
those fireworks?
Yes.
Wild. Wild.
I can see it right over the fence.
That's hilarious.
All right. So yeah, I was thinking about Marvel Rivals, and Moon Knight just got into my head, and I started going back and forth between these two ideas. And I think they're both valid, and we might just do both of them at the end of it just to create more actual content.
Okay.
But one makes more sense than the other in so many different ways. Because at first I was like, hey, Moon Knight's a cool character. What would that look like in D&D? And I'm like, maybe that'll be a pop culture build. Maybe we'll do a bunch of the Marvel Rivals, right? And there would be a difference between the Marvel character and the Marvel Rival version.
Yes.
And then I'm like, well, the pop culture build would probably be like the more like actual classic version of, what are they celebrating? There's a lot of fireworks going on. Like they're like shooting them off. But yeah, of course they stop right as you look.
Disrespectful.
But yeah, so I was like, well, if we do like the traditional whole Moon Knight, that would be more of a pop culture build. But then I'm like, but what would be like the video game, the Marvel Rivals version? I'm like, that would be more like how you would write up a creature, right? Like just some basic shit it can do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. And then I'm like, oh, well, you know what I really want though is not really the character. I just really liked his weapon. And I'm thinking like, well, what if we just did that? What if we just took their main weapons and put them into the game? So I started thinking, I texted you about it, but I had a really, really cool way to break Moon Knight into a weapon, just his main weapon into a playable weapon in D&D without any of his other bullshit, right? So I've just been toying with like, how do I want to do this? Should I build the character? Should we build the partial character? Should we do just the weapon, right? And I while I can't get over the idea of how cool would it be to break the weapon, because I have this really dope ass idea, guys. So if y'all have played Marvel Rivals and you probably know a little bit of Moon Knight, my idea for Moon Knight was, you know, you have, whether you have multi-attack or however many attacks you get, right? But you have your weapon, like his weapon would basically be like the little shuriken, the little moon shuriken thing, right? My idea was, in order to represent it how it would be in Marvel Rivals, let's say you call it a D6 of damage on hit, right?
Okay.
I like the idea for, if you're just just the weapon itself, not Moon Knight, but just the weapon, when thrown, because it's, you know, obviously it's like just basically would have melee damage, but when thrown as a ranged weapon, on hit, it does 1d6 damage. When you roll damage, whatever unrolled damage, so let's say out of a d6, let's say I rolled a 4.
Mm-hmm.
So I throw it at you, it hits you, I roll a 4 for damage.
Mm-hmm.
You take 4 damage. The unrolled damage,
The 2 that's left over.
just like in the game, you know how when you hit a character, it actually goes to their allies, like it like does a little boomerang. I would think that the D&D version was any unrolled damage is equally split among any adjacent allies. So if I hit you and you have one ally next to you, 2 damage would go to him. If you have two allies next to you, 1 each. So it's kind of like his weapon that tags between them. Then that would be his basic weapon, and then I added the idea of the Ankh.
What happens if he rolls max damage?
Then it would just go max damage into the one person.
Okay.
Just the idea is only because his weapon is like the idea of how do you really make it make sense? I'm thinking it literally breaks. It either just shrapnels into you or it breaks off your armor and a piece flings off into your enemy. So in D&D, that's how I imagine why it's working that way.
Okay.
And then the Ankh, I was thinking should have limitations because in the game until it's destroyed, you just keep throwing at it and it's auto aim.
Sure.
So I thought the Ankh could be like a bonus action where you could throw it a certain distance. And I like the idea of like your ranged weapon has a certain distance, but I like if you're like aiming at your Ankh, it can go maybe a little bit further. But in general, regardless of that, the Ankh is something where you can put it down as a bonus action and you can attack it with your main attack instead of an ally or instead of an enemy. And by doing so, you put a charge into it and it gets up to 3 charges. And at that point, before it's destroyed or before a certain amount of time, you can either as a bonus action or a reaction or mainly a main action, whatever you want, is when enemies are within its radius, you can activate it and then it will auto do that. So it's like if you hit it, you kind of basically charge it up with damage and it will just automatically explode that damage equally.
Shoot, I almost like the idea of you just have this area and it automatically does damage to anybody in it, but like the damage is reduced. So if it was a D6, now it's a D4.
Or do the first one where if you hit the Ankh instead of an enemy, it just whatever you roll, or like the max damage is equally dealt.
Oh yeah.
So instead of rolling damage, you don't get to roll damage. It will automatically do full damage.
Split damage.
But it will split it equally. So if there's 2 people, it's 3 and 3. If it's 1 person, hey, great, you get 6. Just like in the game, it will just but it will equally divide. And that was where my idea started. So I loved this idea. And I think as just a basic D&D weapon sounds fucking cool. But then I started thinking like, oh man, so how would you use this in a real D&D game? You could fire around corners. Like there's a lot of cool stuff. But then I started getting the idea of like, man, this would kind of be like, how would you play that in a real D&D game? And then I started thinking of like, how would you translate the whole game of Marvel Rivals into D&D? And that's kind of where I started to get this new concept.
Yeah.
So that's where I wanted to take all of these ideas. And while I still think it's cool to build the weapons out, what I really think I want to do, and so here's where today begins, is I want to create a series, the Gaming with Chat series, where it's basically along the lines of like one-shot rivals, where it's basically a game of Marvel Rivals, but in D&D. But it's also going to be a much, I don't want to say watered down, but it is going to be much more one-shotty. So you know how we create pop culture builds, and it's a whole character build to level 20. That's a lot of shit, right? ASIs, feats, race, blah, all of this shit. And that's cool for pop culture builds, for when it's like, if we were going off the comic version.
Sure.
But I'm thinking when it comes to the video game version, these are very direct, specific abilities you can do. They're pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of D&D going on. It's just these are the things you can do. Now, what does that sound like to you? Sounds like a character. It sounds like a creature build. Sounds like the Ice Monarch. When you look at the Ice Monarch, it's not a 20th level character with feats and abilities and a race.
Got stuff it can do.
It's just a thing that exists that says you can attack this many times. You can do these abilities on your turn. That sounds a lot more like what Marvel Rivals is. So that got me thinking. If I can boil down a round of Marvel Rivals, and I already have the payload map in my head on how we can do this.
Okay.
That could be a one shot that we can run on stream. Because one, it's completely unique, right? I don't think anyone's doing something like that. Not just with Marvel Rivals, but in general, one shots that are based off video games and video game-esque. Two, we can game with chat finally. It'll be brand new, but it'll also be super easy to pick up because here's my idea, right? Because I talked about this off stream with you about like how do you deal with like respawns and all of that. So here's how I'm imagining this like payload map works, right? Is whether or not it's the game starts with it like right outside your spawn point or you have to go cap it. Either way, the idea being this. Each side has a set number of players, and it probably would be like a 2v2, a 3v3. Maybe you and I get to play a character and then like one or two people from chat. So it's going to be very small. It's not going to be like Marvel Rivals. That would be way too much. But we could do a pretty small one, right? So the idea would be pretty simple. Like the payload has a very simple operation. Based on how many people are on it, will depend on how many squares it moves per round.
Okay.
Right? So we'll scale that up based on like, if there's only two players, like if it's a 2v2, maybe it's 10 feet for every player that's within 10 feet of it.
Sure.
If it's like we ever get up to a point where it's like 6 players, it'll be like 5 feet for every player, above, like 5 feet for one player, 5 feet for every other player, up to 15 feet per round. Like, but the point is you make a mechanic where it's very simple. Based on how many adjacent allies, it moves. And if there's any enemies that are adjacent, it doesn't move. Right? It's very simple mechanics. The whole point, get from A to B in a certain time frame, or do a tug of war. Start both enemies on either side of the map and put it in the middle, and the first to just push it past a certain point. Now, these maps would not be the relative size of a Marvel Rivals map. Or at least the goalpost wouldn't be, right? Like you wouldn't have to push it the entire way to their spawn point, but it would be enough to where it's not just going to be like 2 rounds. It's going to have to take back and forth. So payload map, I think, is the best. I think it's better than like a King of the Hill. You know what I mean? Payload's a little bit more fun. You can do this back and forth, kind of like tug of war. So payload, super simple. It's just based on adjacent allies. If no one's adjacent to it, it ain't moving. The more allies that are adjacent to it, the faster it moves. And if there's any enemies adjacent to it, it ain't moving, period. Right? Same thing as the video game. Now, I thought about how do you do respawning, right? Because respawning is the hardest part. Well, this is where it gets a lot of fun for chat, especially if we get a big day where we have at least 3-4 people who want to do this. In Twitch, I can set up a queuing system where people can join the queue. And 90% of everybody's in already Discord. So we can have the game represented in the VTT or in Discord. And we can have the queue set up in Twitch to where we get the queue running and then we just say, okay, first 4 people in queue, you're playing. Choose a character. Now, how do they choose a character? Just like in the game. What we're going to do over the course of several episodes, or maybe off stream, is build out similar to the Ice Monarch. Not a full character, not a 20th level character, but similar to a creature build. A little snapshot build of every character in Marvel Rivals. So it'll say Moon Knight. It'll have a stat block, and all it will have is his abilities.
Is this going to be like the Excel character sheet type deal? Like we're going to put the info in there so Avery can run it?
No,
or
I don't think we're, well, maybe we'll go to Avery. I don't know. I haven't thought that far yet. That's where we're in development. But the idea will be like, let's say you choose Moon Knight. You'll get that little write-up like Ice Monarch. Will give you your base stats for rolling, and it'll give you the abilities, just like in Marvel Rivals. You go to the character sheet and it says what you can do in the game.
I love this.
So it's going to be basic D&D rules, but you're going to be stripped of your class, your race. You're going to be stripped of the things you have control over, and you're going to be given a one-shot pre-gen. It's just going to look more like a creature
than it is
a character. But for the purposes of the one-shot, that's all you need. Now, here's the idea. You choose your characters, and the other team chooses their characters. So the idea will be you all start in your spawns, and there'll be like whether it starts in the middle or one person starts. And if you start it at like the one person spawn, they have to get it one way across the map. Then you have them give like a free surprise round. So let's say the enemy team gets to like have like 30 seconds, or you get one free round of prep. So they secretly tell you like in chat, like Discord, here's what they're doing. So when they come out the room, if there's a trap that was set, they don't know about it.
Got you.
Or if it's in the middle, you just say, okay, begin round 1, and then you have the first 2 rounds of them
making their way to,
but you have to position, right? Movement and position, and every character has different movement speeds. So if one person decides to get to the thing first and leave their party behind, same thing in Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
So we have everybody have their own movement speeds. They have their own ways of, I mean, if you have the Hulk character, you can jump like 3 times your movement or run at the same pace.
Sure.
So you have all of these things. And again, the idea is similar to Marvel Rivals, but you're doing it in a D&D turn style format where it is just a 2 players or 3 players versus 2 players or 3 players. And they're basically the are recreated versions. And instead of like pop culture builds where we're trying to do the most D&D centric versions, I'm totally cool just using the exact versions as closely as we can to the versions of the game with just D&D mechanics. Like again, I'm not worried about what is his weapon in D&D. It's not, we're not going to call it a shuriken. It's Moon Knight's weapon. We're just using a D6 instead of saying it takes 20 hit points. Like all I want to do is like if we do Scarlet Witch, there is no real weapon that is a drain like Scarlet Witch's like energy drain, but we can translate that into they have to be within a certain foot. So she has reach, so her attack is reach, and it does damage over time. So it's a kind of like a hunter's mark attack, where once she targets a character, as long as they're within 10 feet, she'll do this much damage over time.
Is it automatic damage?
I think kind of it would be like one.
I think I would agree.
You rolled a hit, or you automatically select a target that's within range, like 10 feet. You automatically begin doing damage, but it's like you do 1 damage the first round, 2 damage the next round, and then a D4, a D6, a D8. So as long as you stay within 10 feet of that person that you've marked, you will progressively do more damage every round. But at any point they can like try to stop you. So we could make that kind of balance where it's just the Marvel Rivals game. It's the Marvel Rivals character, but you're playing it in the fashion of D&D. And again, if you're all in the cart, if everyone decides, and again, I would totally say in this rare case, metagaming is 100% encouraged. Not just available, but encouraged, because just like in a Marvel Rivals game, everybody should be yelling at each other of what to do. You should be saying, no, everybody this round target their healer. Because again, even if you say, well, but the enemy team can metagame, believe me, in a game of Marvel Rivals, the moment you target the healer, guess what? Everybody knows you're targeting the healer because their whole team is yelling about it. So it's almost like the act of both teams being able to metagame out loud is very akin to the dynamicism of an actual video game.
I like that idea.
So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of just a simple payload mechanic of you just have to do that. You have to just be on it. You have to be near it. And the abilities, I mean, some of the abilities will let you push a character away from the payload, meaning they'll be out of range and it will be put, there's so many abilities that we could make the way that you would think about using them in D&D would be, I think, a lot more unique, because in D&D, or I mean, in Marvel Rivals, it's a lot about like KOs. You're just trying to get the player off the battlefield. But in the D&D version, because it's a lot more like turn-based, you might do more things like just battlefield control. Like, in one case, you might want to, take out the enemies, but in the D&D version, maybe you just want to stall them. Maybe stalling is more important. Maybe incapacitation is more important than death.
Sure.
Right? Like Groot's ult in a D&D format may be way more important, because in the game, you ult Groot and it picks 5 of them, but it only holds them for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Sure.
You're not going to get very far if you're trying to move the payload and only temporarily stop them. But in the D&D format, if you can get them to stop for a turn, that's like 5, that could be 3-4 squares. That could be devastating in the D&D version. So the dynamic approach, I think, and again, what kind of D&D game runs like that, where you have these it feels almost like a 4th edition gameplay, but streamlined for the theme instead of the whole game, if that makes more sense, right? So that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking over time, we develop the characters, we develop these little character sheets, I develop the map on a VTT, and it's just that we have 2 players come in for each side, and when one dies, we have a set rule of like respawn is like 1 round or 2 rounds, but when that person dies, they go back in the queue and the next person in queue suits up.
Yeah.
So it's
I like that.
So imagine like if Sol and Hecate got on a team, or like let's say like if there was let's say it was like Sol, Hecate, Pokeniner, and Desmar in chat. And let's say you and I, like, to make it fair, it's like you and I will both play a character on either team.
Sure.
So let's say Sol comes on my team, Hecate goes on your team, and we're all fighting. And then let's say my character dies, so I'm out. And then Desmar's next in queue. So Desmar joins up with Soul. And then let's say you get taken out, so Pokeniner goes up with Hecate.
Okay.
But now let's say Hecate goes down, but I'm now next in queue. So now I hop with Pokeniner on the opposite team. So where I was, so you could do it that way where anyone next in line is automatically input, so everyone just kind of has fun. Or everyone at the beginning of chat chooses a side and you only queue up for that side of the team.
Oh,
so
interesting.
We could do this a lot of different ways, but I love this idea of,
I mean, as long as each side has at least enough numbers, even if there's nobody in queue, they'll just keep the same person will keep recycling.
And that's the idea. Is I'm just thinking like the VTT would show what the card is and show like the little map. It would take you 1 or 2 rounds, so like 1 or 2 cycles to respawn and then you have to get back, right?
Would it be a scenario like, I like the idea of, especially if we're gonna do this thing in the center, your spawn point versus where you're headed is at least 60 feet. So you could dash to get there.
I would say I would definitely. I was even thinking something along the lines of like your spawn point would take you like because I'm thinking like another thing I was thinking of too is like in terms of how to also judge the speed factor or how the cart's moving. It could just be like a number. There's like a I forget how I was thinking about it. I think I was doing like a D12 where you would move it in. Oh no, that was the King of the Hill. I had a different way for doing King of the Hill. King of the Hill was also a really interesting one that I thought of. But yeah, the idea of I wanted it to be where if you had a whole TPK, you wouldn't just outright lose the match.
Sure.
But the time it takes you to respawn and get back should be enough time for them to move it substantially.
Right.
Like, so if it's 10 feet per round, if your entire team's on it, I think that if you do a TPK, it should account for about 3 rounds of movement. Like 1 round to respawn, 2 rounds to get back, or 2 rounds to respawn, 1 round to get back, because that feels substantial. Because if they've moved it 90% of the way, and then you TPK them, I don't want you to move it 5 feet in there.
Back on it again.
I want you to feel like you TPK'd them, you deserve to make it feel like, I'm sorry, we got someplace.
Yeah.
So that's where we have to worry about the numbers, and I think that the spawn point should be further away than the destination point. So you don't push it to the spawn point, you have to push it to a spot, because like if you're like 10 feet away from it and then they're just spawning 5 feet away from it,
that's what I
want it to be where like if it's a clutch game and you TPK them, it's kind of more of a okay, game over. Like you're gonna walk it in, there's no way they can get back.
Sure.
I want that kind of thing where
GG's all around.
Yeah. So maybe it's like it starts in the middle and the goal is 30 feet away, but the respawn's 60 feet away.
Right.
Something like that. Or 45 and 90. So it's gonna take you some time to cross all of that, and you are getting closer every time you cross. Again, I don't know.
I'm hearing what you're talking about, and I'm trying to.
But I'm
trying to associate a way that we can make that work, and I totally think it's doable.
And the King of the Hill version, the way I looked at it is imagine the King of the Hill would work this way, where again with the card, it's just only allies push it in the direction that they're near it. But the King of the Hill, I was thinking of like you have a designated spot, right? And so it's unlocked to begin with.
Sure.
So it takes 1 round of uninterrupted control to unlock it, right? So it one character on it for 1 round will unlock it, and then it'll begin. And then at that point, I was thinking like, okay, so let's say there's Team A, Team B, or we'll call them Team 1 and Team 12 because it's like a 12 side. I was thinking like a 12-sided die to represent it, right? So whoever unlocks it, the die starts on like their side of that number line, right? So it's either going to be like if Team 1 gets it, it'll start on 6, and if Team 12 gets it, it starts on, it starts on like 5, or it starts on 6 and versus 7,
and then the other one will start on 7.
And then the idea is for every round you control it, the number will go in your direction.
Okay.
So if you control it for 3 rounds, it'll go 7, 8, 9. But then if you lose control and no one's on it, it'll stay at 9 every round. But then the moment the enemy gets it for 1 round, it goes down to 8, and then 7, and then 6. So it's the first person to basically tug of war it to their number.
Got you.
And same exact rules. Someone dies, reswap them, they have to run back. But the whole point is at that point, if it's only 1 number per round, again, if you TPK,
how long do they have to hold it for to be the winner
up until their number. So if you're at 9,
so all you have to do is just get it to 12 or get it to 1.
Yes. So the idea is like if it took you 3 rounds to get back, that would be a substantial, like if they TPK'd you, that's going to be 3 number flips. Not guaranteed to win, but if they TPK you twice, they should win. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's that flow of it's unlocked, someone has to unlock it. And then if they're both fighting for it, it has to be one full solid round of one team. So if everyone gets there all at the same time, you can have one of those like Marvel Rivals games where it's like 10 minutes before you even know who's even starting to win.
Got you.
But again, so these are the ideas I'm throwing around. I think these could be super simple. The maps don't have to be super complicated. And really, there's no real need to like change the maps outside of like environmental aspects, like a broken down card or some walls and some dungeons and some like ruins. But realistically, the maps can be super, super simple and small. It's the mechanics of getting chat to respawn into these characters. Like they have to just preset the character, getting them a version they can easily use, and making it so whether we use Avery or we use some sort of just Twitch commands where we just say, here's the list of commands you can do, you know, just tell us main attack. Because then we could just do that too, right? They could just say main attack, side attack. Because it's not D&D. It's not going to have all of these, well, I'm going to use my bonus action to do. It's going to be Marvel Rivals just with D&D mechanics, but it's not going to be a full-on pop culture build transition to you're not a full D&D playable character.
So I'm totally with this. I just had something. Because I really like what we can do with this. Oh, that's what my question was. Alts.
Yes, I even want to do alts.
My thought process is like either.
So I had an idea of, you talk about how to earn them?
Like either how to earn them or whether there's just like a daily power and you could just do it once and you're automatically
I had an idea for this. I had an idea for like a way to earn up to it, just like in the game.
Sure.
So I feel like you should have to earn charges, and you earn charges in a couple different ways. Taking down an enemy would earn you 1 full charge. And let's say you need 3, 4, 5 to do your ult. We have to do a lot of math to figure out how long it would take, because you don't want it to be like every third round, but you don't want it to take 10 rounds. The game's not going to last that long. So we'll figure out exactly how. But my ideas were you have a certain number of charges before you can ult. Taking someone down, just being the last person to deal them damage before they go down, should be a charge. Then I was also thinking whatever like your max damage is. So like let's say for Moon Knight it was a D6. Whenever you do either 2 or 3 times that accumulative, you'll earn a charge. So if you're a D6, once you've done an accumulative 12 points of damage, you'll get a charge. Doesn't matter how you do it or in what order. If you've done up until that point, up to 12 points of damage in any combination, you get it. You gain a charge. And after so many charges, action, and you do it with however we decide like it looks in game. And again, these aren't supposed to be translated to what's the D&D equivalent. They'll work pretty much like they do in Marvel Rivals. We'll just make the mechanics make sense, right? Like the ranges and the whatever we have to make sense. But it's not like Jeff is going to eat people and be able to move with them.
Yeah.
How far he can move, what the radius of that is, and what happens to them. Those are going to be things that we D&D-ify.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be like, well, isn't that just dimension door times 5? No, it's not. We're not going to D&D-ify like we do in pop culture builds. We're not going to find the D&D equivalent. This is going to be as rough a translation directly as we can.
That I'm super here for.
Because I mean, again, some characters fly. Fuck it, let's add flight. Some characters have bombs. Fuck it, we don't have to find the D&D equivalent of bombs. We just have to D&D-ify the damage and the range and how the characters react to it. That's the D&D-ification. But everything else should look and feel. When you choose Rocket Raccoon, you should basically feel like you're playing Rocket Raccoon in D&D, not the D&D equivalent.
What is Rocket Raccoon? I still have not been able to figure out. What are those things that his little machine spits out? Those tiny little cards that you can pick up sometimes. But
they do different things. So one is like a super jump. It'll just let you jump hella high. Another one's a shield.
Yeah.
Another one's a shield. Another one I think is like a power boost, like a damage boost.
Jumped hella high, and I was like, "What the f happened?"
Yeah, when he does that, that's just like little power ups.
Okay.
So charges, yeah, kind of be like inspiration points. Once you reach 5, you can have access. So yeah, I would just say that because you think of Marvel Rivals, it's mostly about damage you deal, right? So I'm trying to think of like how do you tie it without it just being X number of successful hits.
This was pointed out to me the other day. I was just watching a bunch of videos on some Marvel Rivals stuff, and somebody was like, I hate how a lot of the supports they are encouraged to do damage to charge their ults instead of healing. Like,
I hate that about Jeff because half the time I'm like I'm sorry,
healing, I'm doing all this stuff, but like I don't have my ult up.
You have to play him. So I think like I love this idea of being able to charge your ult, and I think there should be multiple ways. I think taking someone out should give you like a full charge. I think doing X number of your max damage, so again twice or whatever.
I do like that idea.
I even also like adding a third one. Where, and then, again, this would be asking a lot, but when you're not dealing with all the other D&D stuff and you're just doing tally marks, and we could do it automated wise.
Dude, I'm already thinking of ways we can automate this.
So I'm thinking when you kill an enemy, you get an automatic full point. When you do X number of damage points, so if you do a D6, when you do 12 or 18, whatever, you get a point accumulatively. I also like the idea of regardless, separate from how much damage you do, I'd even be also okay because sometimes the dice suck. So to improve your chances of it's not just being about, because what if you hit every single time but you're rolling minimal damage? Sucks to suck.
Sure.
So in order to combat that, what if it's also number of successful hits?
Sure.
So it's what if every 3 successful hits you get a point, and every time you do twice your max damage you get a point?
What if every 3 successful hits you also do twice your max damage, do you get 2? Theoretically speaking,
I would say, or if it happened that way, sure, yeah. If you on your 3rd hit, you also did that damage, you rack both of those stack independently.
Okay,
so in one, question. So if you do 5 attacks and only hit 4, you have 4 tallies for attacks. But if you did 10 points of damage, you have a different counter for 10 points of damage.
Sure.
And when both of those match, that's how ults work in the game, right? It's not about one or the other. It's counting how much damage you're doing. If you killed him, you get more. If you get more successful hits and accuracy, you get more. So I think we should apply all 3 of those. If you take him out, you automatically get a high point. If like the full one, like a full orb. But
dude,
to
imagine
rack one up,
on your 3rd hit, you took somebody out and did your max points of damage.
And guess what? Boom, you get your ult. Like, how cool would that feel? Where you're like, wait, I just charged my ult. Let's fucking next turn. Let's fucking go. And again, the ults would be so much different in this. Like, again, I think this would be such a unique. Because remember that dude I told you about that does like the interactive, like Yu-Gi-Oh or not Yu-Gi-Oh, but like the anime D&D. That's like he has a lot of big following. Imagine if we could get that with this. So
I'm thinking that while it's not going to be like normal, like action, bonus action, everything, like I still think there will probably have to be some abilities that are activated as a reaction. Or some things that are activated as a bonus
Unk would be a bonus action.
Sure.
Because in game his Unk is a like one-time thing that you can do only so many, after so long with a cooldown. But activating it shouldn't be an action. It's kind of like, it's not his main attack. It's like a thing he can do. So I'd be cool calling that a bonus action that you can do once
every 3 turns.
Or when it's destroyed, you have to wait 3 turns for it to cool down, something like that. But yeah, I'm totally okay having that on a cooldown as a bonus action. I'm okay, like some people have primary and secondary. I'm okay making one an action, one a bonus action, or I am absolutely okay if it makes sense that their ability can be D&D-ified in that way. We should do it. Some of them aren't going to be able to. Some of them are just going to be like, sorry, both of those belong as actions.
Sure.
Like with Hulk, he has a running speed, he has a normal speed, but he also has a jump speed that's completely different. And maybe he has to burn a bonus action because there's like that little bit of a charge. So maybe we say he has to burn his reaction or a reaction because sometimes you can use it to get out of a dangerous situation. So maybe Hulk can jump 3 times his max distance
as a reaction.
Because then that way you can use it to get out of combat like you do in the game. These are again, this is why I wanted to bring it up on thing. I didn't want to develop this idea by myself, but the more I thought about it, because I've been thinking about this all week, and the more I'm thinking about this, because it all spawned with just wanting to create Moon Knight's weapon in game. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, it needs to be the whole package. It's not just the weapon, it's not just the Unk. The experience is being Moon Knight. So I felt like instead of just creating the weapon, I should just create the character. But the best way to use the character instead of making a whole ass build is to make it into a one shot.
And
making that creature like page.
Now you say one shot, but it's really just the combat, right? It's not going to be like a whole like world around it.
I mean, one shot isn't like we could do a stream where people come in and we play like 1 or 2 rounds like you would in Marvel, and that's the stream. One shot as in it's isolated. It's going to be, you're not going to leave this stream and be like, oh, so my Moon Knight remembering your whole, no. It's very much like Marvel Rivals. We're going to come in on that stream and just like you loaded into play, you're going to play and then you're going to leave.
Dude, if I do this right, I might even be able to post stats after every episode for everybody. If I do this right, I might be able to be like, hey, you made this many hits, you knocked out this many people, you know, you got your ult off X amount of times, like.
Do it. Put it in pop culture builds. We'll do that as separate because that'll be separate from this. But so, I mean, chat, what do you guys think? Is this something that you guys would be interested in? Because I think Marvel Rivals is a hot enough topic right now.
That could be cool shit.
And I don't think, I mean, if we can get this off, I think Marvel Rivals is an easy one to do. Way easier than Overwatch even. And if we can do it to Marvel Rivals, what other games can we do this with? You know what I'm saying? Like imagine being able to take other games that we can play with chat that are multiplayer like that and adjust them for D&D.
I'm actually almost curious. So the new patch of Marvel Rivals just came out, their new season and everything, and they added Emma Frost, right? And so I just watched this video actually before I came in, and I apparently, again, I don't know how accurate this is, but they're supposedly going to be adding a Nightcrawler, a Beast,
I've heard there's a lot coming.
A Gambit, like all kinds of cool. So like, imagine what we end up creating is almost like a weird. Imagine if it could be cross-platform or cross-game where we could set this up, and it might not work depending on the mechanics of the different games that we choose. But imagine if you were to.
Oh, you mean take characters from this, but go play against a different character from a different build.
Right? Like, imagine if we could create like a cute, like almost like a Smash Brothers mashup of characters. They could just meet up and like they'd have different game modes, and we can just like continually build upon it.
D&D really is, let's face it. When people bake their own builds in D&D, that's basically what it is.
Sure.
But yeah, we might be able to do something like that because
I've always loved this arena type mentality for just like.
I just think the problem is it's the balancing. The Marvel Rivals builds are built to each other. It's going to be hard to not keep that in mind when we're doing something else.
And that's definitely going to be the big thing. Like, I'm still curious how well these things are going to balance when transitioned into mechanics of D&D,
especially like turn-based combat. But I think the powers are specific and straightforward. That's why I think Marvel Rivals is better than like Overwatch, because the powers are straightforward enough that they are very easily D&D-ified. Like even Scarlet Witch is very easy to understand that as long as you mark the target, just like Hunter's Mark, and they stay within their range, every turn they're going to take a progressive amount of more damage.
Sure.
And I like the idea that it's not just guaranteed. Like the hit is guaranteed, but the damage isn't. So while you take 1 point of damage the first round, like on hit, like when you first hit them, they're gonna take a point of damage. But then every round after that, you roll for it. Like it's a D4, then a D6, then a D8. It's not guaranteed full damage.
Yeah.
But the progressive, it will get worse regardless, because the rolls are just more likely gonna get worse, right?
Sure.
And just being able to just say, as long as I'm, again, just like Scarlet Witch, as long as I'm following you and you don't deal with me, I'm going to kill you. Scarlet Witch is one of those characters, if you don't immediately deal with her, if she's on your ass, you're cooked. You can't get away from her.
It's game over.
So I kind of like that, where it's like you do 1 point, then a D4, and then a D6, and then a D8, then a D12, then a D20. Like it just, if she's on you, because I mean, eventually, these characters aren't going to have like more than like 50 hit points, maybe 100. So it's not going to be like it's going to take forever. But I'd like it to where if you don't deal with her after like 3 or 4 rounds, she's just going to wipe you out. But
although I do like the idea of like tanks having more health than everybody else and stuff like
a little
that.
bit. Yeah, and then but again, the same thing of like, because you have to, you can't give them more defense, right? Like maybe everyone has the same like AC.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But the health is where because I think in the game, like everyone pretty much has the same AC. You can hit anybody who's standing there.
Yep.
But it's how much health they take. And then this also allows for like, I don't want one character to feel like, well, if I just choose them, I'm just guaranteed to win, right? Like each character really has to feel like if you use them correctly, they feel like they can be OP.
Yeah.
Until you realize, oh, all it takes is one other person using another character correctly, and then it's OP, right? So yeah, that's.
I feel like it'll be, dude, I'm so interested to see what it's gonna look like to do somebody like the Iron Fist. Their little blitz attack.
And again, it could be super complicated, or it could be something as simple as when they activate their thing, whichever, I forget which ability it is, but like when Iron Fist activates his ability, his melee attacks suddenly get 10 or 15 foot reach. Because that's what his attacks do. They basically lock on, and he just swings and kicks through the air until he locks onto you and hits you, right? So imagine that's just what it is we just say, if he activates this ability, which he can activate
also, he
every
hits so much faster when he turns that thing on.
So imagine
so much more damage.
Imagine that when he turns it on, it lasts for like a round or two, and then he can't turn it on for like 5 rounds. But like every time he turns it on, he gets multi-attack, or he gets a free use of flurry of blows, and like his attacks have reach. So it's flurry of blows, or instead of reach, it's whenever he attacks someone outside of 5 foot, he can instantly close distance without opportunity attack.
Yeah. I would say, I'm pretty sure, because I played him a couple of times, I'm pretty sure that only works on like the first hit of the combo.
You can like shadow
like, so like on your turn, like, so yeah, it'll last for 2 turns, but on the first hit of that turn, that's when you can dash to them and then just.
Yeah, and then just, so yeah, I think each character, like the more I think about, like the more I feel like this could be pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
I think like we could really have some fun, because again, it's not meant to be D&D, right? If we take that away, we could have a lot more fun with how we deal with the mechanics, like Spider-Man and Venom swinging. I'm thinking I'm thinking what we do is they each have a slightly different like range, but they also have like a different arc pattern. So whereas like Spider-Man, kind of like how chess pieces move, where it's like Spider-Man can go straight or do like an L, whereas Venom, he can go in diagonals or he can do in arcs.
Interesting.
So Spider-Man's a little bit more like he can do 90-degree angles, so he can go here and here, because he does the whole jump and then redo it. But Venom is much more of a powerhouse, like a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
So whereas Spider-Man can do straight lines and 90 degrees, maybe Venom can only do arcs and like cannonball kind of swings, right? So maybe there's like some shit like that where their movements are the same, like they still get to do the same thing, but they're not just 2 swinging characters. They both feel unique to how their swinging should be, right? Like, Flame should have a different flying feeling than Iron Man, even though they basically are the same. And maybe they don't. Maybe the fly speed's only a little bit different, but you know what I mean? Like there should be. I
definitely think their boosts are a little bit different.
Oh yeah, like one gets like a actual like longevity boost, like you can just go further, whereas the other one gets an actual like you can go from here to here quicker.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe something like that. But yeah, I think this could be a really fun topic. I think the gameplay could be really fun, and the more I've thought about it all week and playing games with chat, this one seems like the most easy, right? It's like, imagine this, right? We're sitting here, we're like, okay, everybody type in this command to load up in your queue. We get the queue loaded up right in front of me. I say, okay, first contestants, bam, 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 bam.
Can we find a bot that once they get out of that queue, it automatically puts them in like a certain channel in Discord?
Well, it would be through Twitch. It's all in Twitch, not in Discord. We don't even need Discord. Technically, we don't need Discord for anything. We could do it through the VTT on stream and just show up their names. Because like I'm saying, like either we do it all the way integrated through like Avery and stuff, which would take a lot more development. But if we just do simple commands on stream, right? Because remember, these characters aren't complex, right? There's not all of these weird random things you can do. You can, even though you might have a different base attack than me, what if we made it simple, like it's check commands? I do my base attack. So we know what your character is, so we know what your base attack is. So instead of you having to have all of these elaborate things, you could just tell us what we do. And again, it's not going to be all of these like...
So would all the tracking of what's happening be on us on the back end as they do whatever it is they do?
Or through the VTT, depending on how much integration it has. Because again, if it's only tracking whether something hits, the dice roll can be done through the VTT. The dice roll can be done through a bot on Twitch or through Discord. It depends on what we want to visualize. But all of them have the chance, because really all of this is instead of it being a complex weave of all the things you can do, it's kind of like being a DM with a creature, right? You're going to say if it moves, you're going to intend on whether it attacks, and we're going to have a list of every attack that you can do. You know what I mean? I think this game is going to be more about the players talking to each other about placement and who to target, but telling us what they're doing is I attack Scarlet Witch with main attack. I do alt, and here's the area that I do it on. We just take it from there and go, whether we do it through Twitch, and then we have commands where it's like, oh, Iron Man alt. And then it gives like a little description, whether we add a visual to the VTT where I have a visual for Iron Man's alt that shows up on the VTT, or we go so far as to have Avery put all of it into code and run the numbers. You know what I mean? I don't know how I want to do that yet. I don't know how much we want from chat, because if chat's only there to, like, if the players are only there to say what they do and Avery does all the work, I don't know if people would be okay with that. Maybe someone wants to type in the command to roll their own dice. Maybe they just want to see the dice on the screen get rolled. These are all different ways to do it. I just want to be different, right? I just want to be, I want this to run in a way where when you see it, you know what's happening.
I will say, I think a potential plus to, and it doesn't have to be through Avery, but a potential plus to using the Discord for what we're doing is we can, again, grow our community. More people would want to come in so that they could be a part of these things. I think.
But again, a lot of that is because all of that's so text-based. If we're just there for like the visual, because none of that really matters to the Discord. Like that would be a different channel that would basically only be accessible during that stream. But the VTT pretty much has all of that added in. Most VTTs have the visuals for initiative. They have the visuals. And again, it doesn't, it can even do the math. We can even, on some VTTs, you can even give it just custom attacks. I mean, it will run the math
so
for you.
I'm thinking about that too. We can definitely do that. But again, the question is, if we do it that way, then basically it would be what you were talking about. They would just say in chat what they want to do and we roll it for them. Because unless we're pulling each one of these people into the VTT so they can manually type into chat themselves what they want to roll.
And that might be too difficult. And again, as an entertaining aspect, like it's going to be too hard to have everyone like on mic, because it's not a D&D game, right?
For sure.
And that's why it's like, I don't know how we're really going to do it, because it's not going to be the standard D&D game. I don't want this to be taken up by people's like, inability to think or talk, like, live and everything. And we could just sit there and kind of like, almost like how they do esports where we're just like narrating it, where they give us all the stuff and we're just like, oh, and then Scarlet Witch comes in with her ult. Are they gonna, and he's moving, you know what I mean? Like we could like hype it up a lot more, describe more what's going on as more of an announcer level. And they're just deciding, because I kind of want this to be fast paced. I don't want this to be your standard D&D game.
And I'm trying to think about like how we'd go about doing that part as well, because I think a lot of the times in D&D combat, people are just sitting there trying to figure out what they want to do. Like, and I think
that's where I think going back to the old school, because we did a recent episode on the history of action economy, and we learned back in the day there was an older way of doing it, which is very similar to how I want to do it in the future, which is everybody kind of stacks their actions at the top of the round, and then the DM narrates it as it unfolds. You know what I'm saying? So like everybody, you could just say, like, okay, guys, rounds here, everybody have their actions primed and ready. All right. And then again, maybe in the VTT, they can prime their action and then the VTT will go through it. Again, I have to research what VTTs, but I've seen many VTTs do them different ways. And I believe there is one that will do it in like everyone puts in their action and then it will just order it saying, hey, DM.
I would definitely have to find that, but okay.
And that may have been like maybe like a add-on. Or a mod, but that would be kind of cool because everybody could basically pre-write in their stuff. Like we'll give everyone like a 2-minute window and be like, okay, rewrite it. Everyone's in. All right, here, how is it rolling? And
I mean, to be honest, like I love that idea, but I'm trying to figure out like the best implementation of it. Because when I think about that, I'm thinking of, okay, if we're gonna have a user, what chat are they gonna type in to like put this in? Like, are they gonna type directly into the VTT, or are they gonna do it into,
again, most of it would be controlled by the VTT, so
that means anybody who wants to participate is gonna have to join that.
Maybe it depends. Again, I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know what kind of add-ons
so
they have.
I'm brainstorming that part right now, like unless you want to just worry about that later, but like that's my thought.
I just don't have the answer. It's there's so much more reason. This is just me presenting the idea day one. But that's what I'm saying is dependent upon it, because the VTT will be important for the visual. Like the visual, I think, is what's gonna sell it more than anything.
I agree,
because when you're doing like the King of the Hill isn't as important, but like when you're doing like like the payload, it's kind of really about positioning. It's all about positioning where people are gonna be.
Yeah.
So I feel like having a VTT outside of Avery or like just a drawn map like in Excel.
Sure.
I think I need to have some sort of visual of like where you need to go, where you are. But beyond that, yeah, I don't want this to be, I want this to be streamlined. I want it to be where people can just like get in, they tell us what character they are, and then immediately they're just like, okay, what's your actions? Like, what are you doing? Right.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's everyone has to be in Discord and we have a special channel that we're feeding off of, whether that happens in Twitch chat, whether that can happen in the VTT, whether we can get a bot that cross platforms those things. I don't like, those are the hard things, because like we can do it in Twitch chat where I can just have the bot like delete those messages and not show them when people are doing their commands.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know how much we can automate versus how much we'll have to be manual too. Like I have a feeling like things like token moving will be very manual for us.
Sure.
So I have a feeling like it will be really nice to have a VTT that has like a grid system, so people can just be like A4.
Yeah.
There's no like, no, the square next to that. No. Just be like, I moved to A4 and B6 is where I do my ult.
Got you.
I want it to be like that quick, right? Where it's like, I would love the idea where it's like, hey guys, 2 minutes, we can do a quick little fun recap and talk about what just happened while they're like chit-chatting with each other. And then it's like, time's up. Everybody got their stuff in. Round 2, what are we doing? Scarlet Witch flies over here. Human Torch does this and does it. Like everyone's just kind of reacting to what's happening. Because again, unlike D&D where you wait for someone to do their turn and then you react to what they did, that's not how the game works. If someone's about to ult, you don't know they're about to ult until it's already too late. So I kind of like the idea of someone saying, well, like I'm flame guy. I do like the little flame circle around here, but your initiative was lower and everyone moved and everyone scattered. Or you did that and no one knew that's what you were doing, so no one moved. Like I do the circle around the enemies and all the other enemies did their attacks and no one thought to move. Well, guess what? In the game, if you're not paying attention, you're going to be surrounded by fire before you know it. Like that's how the Marvel game, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's why I'm okay with like stacking the actions, because realistically, that's how you that's how you play the game. Is sometimes you're just going to suddenly be shot in the back because you didn't pay attention to what they were doing. Then you have to react to that on top of what you were doing.
Right.
And then you have to decide, he's shooting me in the back, but I'm about to take out their healer.
Maybe it's worth it.
Do I continue with the healer and maybe die myself, or do I switch to defensive mode? You don't really get to do that in D&D because everyone's always so up to the second,
right,
that you're reacting on things that you really wouldn't be, right? You know what I mean? Like people forget you're halfway in the middle of doing something by the time you've decided.
Right.
So yeah, if we could find a way to make it like easy, you know what I mean? Like we said before, like anybody who wants to participate has to choose a team at the very beginning and then goes into the queue. Maybe at that point, before the stream starts, we have to like get everybody added to the VTT. We could do a thing where before this day of the stream, maybe we do like a raffle or we find out who the players are going to be like the day before, make sure everyone has their login. Maybe we do a preliminary, like 45 minutes before the stream, everyone shows up in Discord. We all log, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's a bigger like production.
Sure.
I don't want the gameplay to last forever. Whether the setup is a little bit extra, I'm fine with. Whether we all have to log into the VTT, it might be best if we just do it through the Discord for part of it. I mean, I'd rather not have to do all three, where it's like part Twitch, part Discord, part VTT. But we may not be able to put it all in the same. You know what I mean? We may not be able to have all our eggs in one basket. I just want it to look easy. I don't mind a little extra prep work, but I just want it to be where we're not bogged down with, okay, everybody wait 10 minutes while we do this. I just kind of want it to be where, hey man, you guys know what to do. You guys know a streamlined way to tell us what you want. And it's up to us to just be good at narrating what happens and trying to make it feel like you're listening to a Marvel Rivals game.
Yeah.
And I want the players to feel like they're playing a game of Marvel Rivals, just slightly slower pace.
Sure.
But yeah, because I feel like it would get crazy to try to have them describe what's going on. Like again, it's not really a role play. It's more of the accomplish the task with the powers that you have.
Yeah.
I'm also really curious how we're gonna do the character selection. Like, again, is it gonna be the VTT where every time someone swaps out, do we have to like reload a new character? Is it just going to be they tell us and then we decide how it's like? Again, do we just do basic dice rolls and then we just have to keep up with who they are? So I like have a cheat sheet here of you're using your main attack, and so I have a cheat sheet of what your main attack means. Oh, like that's going to be a big deal. Is how do we quickly, like if someone dies, how do we quickly allow them to change character? How do the characters get represented? Avery would have to be completely customized. Some VTTs, I think you could just tell it what die to roll and it will just roll and it doesn't care what weapon it is. I don't want to put, I just don't want us to have to like constantly stop and think, well, what does that mean? Like, I want a way that it's easy for us to just go, I want chat to make it easy. I don't care if we have to spend an hour before stream
setting it up. Work. Yeah.
I just want it once we're live. I just want it to look like for a brand new person to come in, I want them to believe that it's as simple as I want to go next. And they do like one or two things and then boom, they're in the game. And they just know, here's the character sheet I'm looking at. Like, I would love it to feel like it could be that easy.
I agree. I definitely think it's possible. I'm asking all these questions because I'm trying to number one, feel out what you are and aren't okay with, so that I can see what direction's going to be easiest. I think Avery's going to be hard. I think if we did all the work ahead of time to set it up, it'd be great. But, you know, adding new ones later is going to be hard. Like, and I'm still not 100% sure how easy or challenging it'll be to get Avery to let anybody roll for any creature, right? Because normally you have to be specifically logged into your thing in
the
Avery
sheets, and you have to have one for everyone, and you have to have access to it, and it has to link it to you. That actually, I forgot how much it took.
That could be a huge pain in the butt. So it might be a situation like, and
think about, I forgot that you had every single time you wanted to change character, you had to like load a new profile, you had to have access to that profile.
So it's weird, but I kind of feel like what might be the easiest, and this is a ghetto version, like we can make this better, but if I had a Google form that everybody could fill out, right? And you had certain number of commands that you knew you could give for a particular character, right? And so like when they fill out this form and they submit it, that's them saying, this is what I'm gonna do this round. And like once I get everyone's information, then all I have to do is copy and paste a code directly into whatever, and then it rolls whatever it's got to roll for whomever, and we can do it in a certain order and blah blah blah. Like that's what I'm thinking when it comes to the easiest way to get chat to give us information and for us to translate that information into what actually happens.
Well, and that's why it doesn't matter, because it's not D&D. You don't have to worry about explaining what you're trying to do. That's why we could break it out into things like, you know, are you moving? What grid place, right? Like, tell us the grid place you're moving. Simplistic, right? So yeah, you could just have a chat command that
just... the easiest thing to do, because when you do a form, like you say, this is what the information I need.
But then you have to worry about like formatting and people writing it incorrectly, and then you have to like the process of translating it. Like, I'm just thinking like if it was just a simple like move command with the location, and then like main attack, secondary attack, alt attack, and then just like the target, right? Like that's all they would really have to tell us is just, are you moving where, what type of attack and target, right? And so it would just be kind of like a list of just those short commands. And these commands don't have to like do anything. I just mean like a list of actions, right? And they could just be commands as in like move A4, attack this target main, attack this target secondary, use alt this location. And at that point, again, it just more as just making sure that gets listed in the right initiative order. So we give everybody enough time to select, type out, whatever it is, but they would just give us this like shorthand, but it would just be organized in the right initiative. And that's all we're doing is reading out
I think
as it unleashes.
That's going to be the hardest part, is number one, making sure that they give every piece of information they want to give every time and they don't forget anything, and making sure it's in the right order, and making sure, because they're probably not going to submit it in the right order. They're all going to submit it before the round starts. So we're going to have to order it.
And that's why I have to figure out what because I've seen VTTs handle them differently. Some of them have like, it's just, you just tell it a dice roll and that's all it can do. Others I've seen look like and again, I don't know if these are like add-ons or modifications, or if this is like what we're doing now, where it's just completely customized overlay. But I've seen some of the VTTs on Twitch when I'm doing our rival research.
Sure.
And they seem like they have dynamic things, right? Where they're typing in Twitch chat or they're typing in some sort of chat, and the overlay or the VTT itself is updating things like initiative, the actions.
It does. Like, I'm actually in one right now. I'm in one of the bigger bigger, most common ones, Roll20.
Yeah.
And they have an initiative tracker in here. They have commands that you can type in, but again, in here you are specifically associated with your character, right?
Yeah.
And so like when I'm rolling, like you can just roll a regular dice just to roll a regular dice, but again, to have all those commands that you're talking about, your movement, your all this other stuff, like I would have to type in the specific command unless we're going to ask the players to type in that specific command to do all the things, right? It's going to have to be the exclamation.
But again, it's not like I'm not saying the command will like activate anything. It's just a list of everybody's actions in the order in which their character will take them, right? So if you're first in initiative, it doesn't matter if you were the first or last person to type.
Right.
I just need your actions to then be immediately put up to the front. You know what I mean? So if you say move then attack, that's what I'm going to do. I just need it to be reordered into the initiative. And that's where it's like, it would just be like everybody would have a very simplistic set of instructions. It's like, you know, you can move, and when you move, just say move and the location grid. And then you can attack, you know, you say base, secondary, whatever code we put in, and then name the target. No, and if you're going to do different things like move, attack, move, just say it in that order. Say I moved to A4, attack this target with main attack, then I move to A3. And like if we could just get it to where people, again, there's no complications, it's just more of a be direct. That's where I think we could be the easiest, because again, I think it's going to be more based on our narration.
I agree with that. My question, my mind goes to number one, where are they going to type that and what's that going to do?
Yeah.
Right. And so if the answer is what it's going to do is it's going to, when they put that in there, we have to go then do something. We have to then go and respond and be like, all right, either I'm going to put an actual command in chat, or I'm going to actually move the icon, or I'm going to actually do whatever action needs to be done. Well, because
the thing is like, we would have to be in control of the VTT. So like if they're moving, we'll control the icons, which is again why getting the players to have just clear cut things that they can just select to do. Because again, I'm thinking about with like Marvel Rivals, you know, you're not really like in-depthly thinking about your character. You're just, it's all in the moment of, am I in the right position and what am I doing with that position?
Sure.
And that's where I feel like this is going to be a very weird type of game. It's definitely not going to be normal D&D, but I think
it could dedefinitely work.
I think it's going to be cool. Like it's going to be weird. It's going to be fun though.
Yeah, like I said, I once we hash out the details and actually try it out once or twice, I think we're definitely gonna get moving. But it's gonna be that initial structure that we're building, the scaffolding that everything's gonna go on top of.
I think what I'd like to do is get like 4 characters designed. Like I want Moon Knight to just be like one of the first ones. But let's get like, I think whether it's on stream or off stream, we'll get like 4 characters built out and drafted. We'll get a very minimal map, just one that would last just a couple rounds. And not so much play test it as we will just, once we have an idea of like, how does a character work? What kind of actions can they do? And what does the map look like? I think the scaffold will take form. I think once we actually like have the idea of like, what does Moonlight look like in this one shot? Once we know that versus a Scarlet Witch, and we put them on this map that says, okay, if I'm here and here, this is how the map works. Then we can start to ask ourselves, like, does it make sense? You just select something you would do. I'll say something I would do. Okay, we each roll initiative. Now then we reveal it. Let's see how that works out, right? And we would just, I guess it would just be kind of that, test every tiny piece out just to see if it holds any weight and see if it can like unfold. Because I don't think it'll work like D&D. Like I don't think it would work as like a player trying to explain what they want to do.
No, I think you're right. That's why, again, personally, I think the form is the best way to go, because I can set up a form where you can only type in a number if I want a number.
Right.
I can set a form where you have to click a checkbox.
Yes, no.
Yeah, and have conditional boxes that'll pop up only if you choose yes on this one.
Like if you're gonna move, write the location. If nothing is in there, it's assumed you're not moving, right? So you can just have the form say if blank not moving.
I can set it up so where that I'm gonna get exactly the information that I need, and it shows up in an Excel document, and then that Excel document tells me exactly what I need. Like that to me feels like the smoothest way to do that, and to ensure that I actually have information from all our characters.
I get that, but I'm also imagining, I can easily imagine myself, and which is why I'm gonna have to like visualize this a little bit longer, but I can easily imagine that also just kind of taking some of the fun out of it in a weird way. Like,
No,
if I'm just, because I'm imagining myself as a
100%
player
hear what you're saying.
hearing like the DM on a thing, and then it's like, okay, next round, okay, click, A4, that target, send. That's different than I need to attack. I'm gonna move. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it, but for me, when I imagine as a player filling out a form to do things, just
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
And maybe it's because I don't know how the visual would work. Maybe it's not a form. Maybe it's a chat prompt where it's almost like a back and forth. Like they're being asked, what do you do? Do you do this? And then once they get answered, then do you do like, I don't know. Maybe sure. It's just, maybe I'm visualizing what you mean by form wrong. So I'm feeling like it's more like a survey monkey than it is.
It kind of might feel like, but regardless, I hear what you're saying, and I don't think you're wrong when it comes to the vibe that you get from when you're trying to do the thing.
Would really be interesting too.
I just have a hard time figuring out what other way we would actually guarantee ourselves getting everything that we need.
I know this would be like almost, man, that this is true future Misfit Gamer Studios right here. Because you know how like streaming, like stream together is a thing, right? Where you can have like multiple streams and they all have to share the chat and they all share like info. Like, how cool would it be where, because I'm thinking like, man, imagine we have like Discord where an option where all the contestants can go in Discord and we'll have different chat groups for the different teams. So like you can just metagame. You can fully metagame in your chat room with all your teammates. So
yeah, that's 100% what I was thinking about being in Discord.
So that way the 2 minutes that you have to prep would be a little bit faster and they can all actually talk instead of type. So that would be a little bit fun. But then I'm like, man, future Misfit Gamer Studios. So we have the Misfit Gamer Studios main channel. You have your own channel, and I've always thought about maybe getting a third channel. Imagine if we did a thing where all three of us were streaming. And it's like you and I, our private channels would stream like
one
the channel teams. Like kind of like how esports does, where it's like you could log into yours to hear the chat and see the strategy behind one team. You can log into my personal one to see the other team, but then you log into Misfit Gamer Studios for the announcement.
You see the whole battle, yeah.
And that would be kind of cool to where it's like, it's just this like, what version of the competition do you want to see? And if you're logged into all three, it's like just hearing the announcers, hearing the teams. Like you would literally feel like you're watching a sport at that point.
That'd be wild.
I'd
probably have all three of them up, but only one of them would have volume at a time.
I agree. I would probably do the same thing because I would just be like, I'd want to be like, what are they talking about? What are they doing? And doing that, we could have like a really cool YouTube video of like different shots of different parts. Oh,
although I will say, if we end up doing that, somebody from the other team's likely to log into the other team.
Oh, stream snipe it.
I wanna see what you guys are doing over there.
And you know, we could always do a thing where if you're caught doing that, you're disqualified. Like, I mean, if we really wanted to have like, you know, some good rules.
Sure.
But no, I'm glad that y'all are on board with this idea because like I said, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it all week. Like this has been taking up so much of my mind. And this is, I think, what I really want to do for like gaming with chat. Like I think something along this line, a small arena style one shot is the way to go. But I'm kind of digging the complexity of the newness, like this, like, you know, this novelty of this type of like, you know, utilizing something like a video game, like for the theme and for the overlay.
Right.
But I also think that there's going to be a beauty in its simplicity, right? Like for the first time, you're going to be watching people play a more, like, again, it's weird to say this, but it's like, this is the only time I would accept 4th edition mechanics.
Sure.
Like as a general rule of thumb, 4th edition is my least favorite in terms of mechanics and gameplay and everything. But in this context, it's the closest mechanics wise that we're basically talking about.
Right.
You know, this idea of at will powers, right? You're just, I'm choosing to do this. Like, you know, again, that's basically what a main attack is in Marvel Rivals, is an at will power, and ult's like a daily. You know what I mean? Like there's these things that are akin to 4th edition, but I wouldn't want to play that as the whole game.
Sure.
But in this like little snapshot for our stream, and again, I think when I look, you know, again, looking at like the I think it was Naruto, the Naruto D&D guy who has like hundreds and thousands of viewers because he does the interactive like, MMO. I have a feeling that this is going to completely, like, we already get set apart from the rest of the D&D community with what we do, but something like this, especially on a regular basis, I think would just like absolutely blow us out of the water in terms of a unique, fresh style of gameplay. And it's just released. Like Marvel Rivals is like hot on the fucking, this ain't going
just
nowhere.
Started season 2.
Yeah, like getting this involved, this could be something that just we ride forever. You know what I mean? This, sure. I wouldn't want this to be our only thing, but like
oh, for sure it won't be,
that
but
could.
But if it does good work, then why not run with it, man?
Right? I mean, if it's, you know, we could just keep up with the game, keep up with the same characters, keep up with the same type of maps. You know what I mean? Like
right?
we could just make up our own type. I mean, you imagine Pipe Dream, like we do this so well, we get known for it. Almost to the point to where we get almost like copyright strict because we're using all the names. But imagine it gets so good. Like I could imagine not imagine it happening to us, but I could imagine someone famous enough doing this, like Critical Role or what was the other one? The Avantis ones.
Oh yeah.
Imagine they did something like this. I could even see it going so far that after a couple years, like Marvel would like do a swap and like pull something. Like imagine we made a game mode that wasn't Control of the Hill, wasn't like, you know, Payload, but made a unique one that eventually they were like,
hey, let's try that.
Yeah, let's add that. Like I could
cool.
see that happening with a famous enough people that are famous enough like streamer or YouTuber that if they modified a game to like their stream, I could easily see the game modifying the game for, you know,
from their stream. Yeah.
So that would just be like, again, total pipe dream, but
one day
I'm not mad that the idea exists. You've been generating ChatGPT Marvel versus Capcom style scenarios, made various role plays, D&Ds. Nice. ChatGPT is fun once you like. Again, I feel like on both sides of the argument, people either vastly underestimate or vastly overestimate ChatGPT. It's I feel like there's two sides of it. Either people just think that it is way more powerful than, and they give it way more credit than it possibly has, or there's people who are just like, haha, can't do dumb thing, you know, that one thing it can't do, so it's useless. And then it's like there's like people like
just don't understand what it is or how to use it.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, either people just don't give it enough credit, or people give it way too much credit. And I'm like, I'm finally feel like I'm in that perfect middle ground where my mind's finally open to the idea of, okay, I get its limitations, I get that it's novel, but that's about it. But that novelty is no different than someone's first time hearing about a library where it's like, that's kind of novel. I can go and just read books for free. That's novel. But what does that actually allow you to do with it? Like a library by itself is nothing. Library by itself is a cool resource, but without knowing, like some people you can underestimate it. So it's just full of books, right? Like, what am I going to go do? Other people, oh my God, you can go to a library and learn anything. That's overestimating what a library can do. But in the right hands, someone who needs specific information or who needs to build upon it or who just wants to explore.
Or if you just want to use it as a resource, they got internet there, they got movies there, they got music there, they got all kinds of stuff.
So and that's where I feel like I'm with ChatGPT now, is I'm finally that person who finally got the library card and just asked, what can I do here? And that's what they're doing, is they're being like, so I can rent books, but like, well, you can also rent movies. You can also rent, you know, this. We also do classes. We also have like, you know, book clubs. Like you start to realize that it's not useless in the sense that if you think it's useless, you really don't understand its, what it could do. You don't understand its potential. But if you think that it's the end all be all, then you've never truly used it, right? If you think that a library is just a infinite resource of information that you can just learn anything from, then you've never really used a library. But if you've ever used one, you're like, okay, in the right hands, if I needed to accomplish something, this will give me all of the toolkits I need to accomplish that goal. And that's where I'm at with ChatGPT. It is not, I think I explained this to you before, but like the way I've always explained ChatGPT, or the way I explain ChatGPT now, is that it is not a creative resource. It does not do good at creating. It does not do good at complex thinking. It does not do good at innovation, right? It will never create on its own. But what it does amazing at is fundamental blunt facts, very minimal blunt facts. It is good at direct information. And the thing that I think people don't really understand about the value of that is it's all in the power of the user. A library is full of information, but you can't just have all of it. And if you don't know how to consume it, the information is useless to you. Very much like ChatGPT it's very great with blunt facts. You can ask it, what book, what year did Greyhawk come out? And it'll tell you 1974, right? It'll know that blunt fact. But it will have to lie and extrapolate and really doesn't understand the concept and the reality of like why D&D was made. It can tell you when it was made. It can tell you the things that factually we know about it, about what we were told about when it was made and how it was made. But it can't extrapolate like why it's fun. Like it can give you pointed facts. It's engaging.
Look up an article about where somebody else talked about it being fun,
and it will give you factual. It will give you factual words. It'll be like, it's creative. It's relaxing. It allows you to use your imagination. There's all It's friendship. It's communication. But that's not why it's fun. It can't give you the reason why you got invested in your character. That's something that only you can explain. But what I've learned with ChatGPT is just like a library that has all of the information, but that just having a bunch of listed facts doesn't matter. ChatGPT can't do anything on its own, but if you know how to prompt it, if you know how to work with it, what you can begin to do is instruct it to put together in the right order those blunt, direct facts. And with the right scaffold, those blunt, direct facts become ideas, right? ChatGPT knows Python code because it just blatantly knows facts. If I say, I want a Python code to say hello in terminal, bluntly knows what it needs to do to put all of those things together, right? It knows how to write hello. It knows what terminal is. So it says terminal, it knows how to do a code, and you want the code that types something, and what you want it to type is this. It doesn't know what you're doing. It doesn't know the context of saying hello. It just says, you need a terminal, you need a code, and you need the code to do a text, and you need the text to do this. That's what it's great at. It will never put those instructions together on its own, right? It knows the blatant facts of those. It knows what each and every step is, but it will never put those steps together until you give it a reason to.
Right.
And that's, to me, the beauty of ChatGPT, where I'm at with it now, is it is a dumb tool, but the user can make it into something impressive. I can tell it to take all of these facts that it knows and organize them in such a way that it now uses that information in a way it normally wouldn't have been able to. And I think that's what people are missing with ChatGPT, is realizing that it is a tool. It won't do anything for you, but it will help get you there.
Right.
And if you don't know how to use that tool, it can only get you so far. But if you're creative with that tool, if you're innovative with that tool, and you know how to use that tool, like some people,
hey, just like D&D,
right? I mean, imagine how a shovel works, right? A shovel is pretty good at doing one thing, moving dirt. If you need to dig a hole, a shovel is absolutely amazing, and it'll be way better than with your hands, right? It's a great tool. Have you ever seen a shovel used in a different way though?
Sure.
I've seen a shovel used in a whole different ways. I've seen it used to level ground. Shovel's designed to move and extract earth. I've seen it used to level. I've seen it used to create artwork in snow and in sand.
True.
I've seen it
Very
used
true.
to, you see that it took someone innovative, so ChatGPT is the shovel. The shovel doesn't know how it can be used, but it's a blunt fact. It knows that it can move earth. But if you realize hey, not only can you move earth because you're a big flat surface, but you also have an edge. You also have a corner that works like a pick. If I turn you upside down, instead of shoveling, you push, right? It's that mindset of the user can take that tool and apply it in different ways.
Yeah.
And if you know how to apply it properly, that tool can become so much more valuable to you. Where if one person sees a shovel that's just used to dig a hole, another person can see an art tool. Another person can see, an excavation tool. Some person can see a leveling tool, a landscaping tool. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own way of using that tool. And the more you learn about it, the more versatile it becomes to you, right? Now, all of a sudden, you don't just own a dirt mover. Now you actually own a shovel.
Right.
And I feel like I'm getting to that stage where I'm starting to realize that I own a shovel when I use ChatGPT.
Fair enough.
I think a lot of people assume it's just a question answer, or it's just I'm just going to make shit up on the spot. Which, yes, it is. It is those things. Just like a shovel is just a handle with a scooper. But how you choose to use those conversations, use those prompts, use those responses, that's what makes a shovel versus a digging tool.
Right.
You know? I don't know if that made sense to anybody else, but that's just the way my mind works. Is I like to make analogies to things that are very blunt and direct. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's easier to me to make an analogy that's something that's harder to misunderstand. But
no, I feel you.
Sometimes I feel like I get kind of crazy in the way that I look at things. Like, who thinks of a shovel as an art tool? Like, I don't think that's a normal path of thought. You know what I mean?
I honestly think anything can be an art tool. Like I was talking about earlier, I think, somebody who is using literally the internet itself as a tool for art, right? Like you can do all kinds of wild stuff. So
yeah,
I appreciate thinking outside the box.
So I think, I think that was kind of what I mainly wanted to talk about today. And then we went off on a bunch of different tangents, but Gaming with Chat is coming. Marvel Rivals, that's going to be, I think, the first project. And I think it's going to be worth it. I think that way, because again, we've talked about doing like regular D&D, and it's like, not that I don't want to. I want to bring High Point. I want to bring gaming, but I want to do it our way. You know what I mean? Like, I like whether we do it with
you
Old
gotta
Gods.
start somewhere, and you don't need to go hard out the jump, right?
Exactly.
So I think this is a good place to dip your toe in, so to speak, and to start introducing into that.
Yeah, because I mean, yes, I would love from 5 years from now for people to be talking about High Point and Lorana and Zenith and Ness and Doved, and just, I would love to have those like inside jokes and the animated shorts and just the catchphrases and the things that people like. I would die to have any of High Point
Sure.
immortalized like that, but I just don't want to. I also, more so, I don't want to just be every other D&D.
Sure.
Like, I think to me, being famous as just every other drab D&D streamer feels worse to me than struggling to do the unique things that we want. You know what I mean? And I don't know why. I feel like if we were to just do that thing where I'm just staring at the camera and you're staring at the camera and three other people are just staring at cameras, at the end of the day, I don't feel good about that.
I mean, it's so much less about what everybody else is doing and so much more about what you want to do. And like, if you want to do what other people are doing, great, do it, but do it the way you want to do it. Like, you don't have to follow any script or any outline. Like, yeah, they had success at that, but it doesn't have to be the way you do it. So I don't know. I think too often people are glued to one perspective or one way of thinking, and so expanding outside of that, just figuring out what you vibe with. Like, if you don't vibe with don't stare at a screen. We don't even have to be on camera. It's more about our characters, anyways. Why are you associating my face with it?
Right.
Like,
right. So I don't mind those ones that just have like. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things too. Do I prefer the ones that have everyone on camera, or just have like their character avatar? And then it just lights up when they talk. And I'm like, both have their merits. I prefer when everyone's on camera, when everyone has good quality. Honestly, one of my pet peeves is when you see like
different camera qualities.
Well, like when the DM has like a perfect quality, and then you have like one person who's like fully dressed up in real life as their character. And then you have that one dude, it's like just dark as shit in his room. He has you can only tell he's only being lit by his like laptop. And it's like, it's always, I hate to be stereotypical, but it's always like the older, overweight, bald guy who's like at his like dining room table and like the kid. Like, I get it. Everyone lives a different lifestyle, but it's like, there's always that one thing where it's like, there's just overall, this is not a representation that I want to see for entertainment value, right? Like, I don't want to see one person who's fully dressed up in garb, the DM who looks like they're taking this seriously, and then like three people who just look like they're literally showing up right after work to a Discord call.
Sure.
And they're just kind of like sitting there eating and just talking to other people. It's like, that to me is just, it so takes me out of the give it. It doesn't take me out of the mood. It takes me out of the give a shit. And I don't know how else to put it that, but like, if there is something that I'm engaged with and I can just, if I get the vibe that those that I'm engaged with are not engaged at all, I just lose my give a shit. I'm just like, why am I bothering my time if you're not bothering with your time?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how dare you ask me to give you my time when you won't even put forth the effort to the thing you're actively doing right now? And that's, I don't know, maybe I just have a personal, I don't want to say a higher standard for everybody, but I have a personal higher standard that I've come to think of about this stream, right? Like,
no, I feel that.
So yeah, it's I don't want to piss anybody off because everybody has their own way of doing things. There are some things that when I look at it, I'm just like, you know what? I would rather not than do. You know what I mean?
And yeah, no, I totally feel that. And genuinely, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like you should totally feel the freedom's the wrong word, but like,
no, they're freedom of choice. I mean, and that's the thing too. It's not to say that those are, I'm not saying that those should feel bad for doing those kind of streams. It's just, at least I'm confident enough to be like, I just don't want that for my stream.
Exactly.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Just like you're talking about with our homebrew reviews. It's like, you can make whatever suggestion and it can either cause them to change their mind or solidify this is what I always wanted. Like, you're doing the same thing. They have chosen to portray themselves this way, and you can either say, hey, maybe I should try that, or solidify, no, I don't want to do it that way. And there's nothing, live your life. Like,
exactly.
There's no justification necessary. Just live your life.
And that's how I feel too, is I feel like for me, I want to be known for what we do, not for the bandwagony stuff. You know what I mean? Because I also feel like there's a lot of the people who try to look professional when they do their D&D thing. And again, same thing, right? They look all professional. They have everything that looks great. But sometimes I just can't help but look at them and go, like, are you just trying to be Critical Role? Because it's like, you know, the DM, like in the one view.
Sure.
And then it's like a camera on a big table with like everybody like lined up on one side of the table. You know what I mean? And it's like, but it's like still all really high production value and it still looks really good. But then there are times where I'm just like, are you just trying to like do what the quote unquote famous people do? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
sometimes that's exactly what it is. They think that following the script is going to get them where they're trying to go, and you know,
and maybe it will. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe I have it wrong. Like I said, just like with everything in D&D, maybe I have it wrong. I ain't right. I'm just some dude on the online. You know what I mean? I'm just some talking head. I don't know why people listen to me.
Wild.
Oh, all right. Zegger. I don't know who Zeggeroth is. I'm not familiar with that name. Let's see here. Okay, so that was another pop culture build. Jeff the Land Shark has been added to pop culture build list.
Nice.
All right. Well, I wanted to talk about this whole Marvel Rivals idea. The goal eventually, or like the goal of today, was supposed to maybe talk out and semi draft up like a character or two to just kind of get like, you know, like at least finish out like Moon Knight's idea and like just kind of get a rough draft and then maybe draft out like how the gameplay would be. We did the gameplay. I mean, we talked about how the King of the Hill and the point and the payload would be. We didn't really get to build out the character, but I think we'll have a lot more to talk about now that we've fleshed out how we want it to look. I think that's more important. So I don't know, maybe in like a week or two we can regroup. Maybe we'll work on some characters on the side. Like I'll throw you some ideas, for like a handful of characters, and then maybe we can draft up some like the Goblin Notebook write-ups. And then maybe just in a week or two we'll do a Friday stream where we regroup and we talk about what we've built so far. See what, you know, get a pulse check. Okay. And then I would love to do a test in like the summer, like just as long as we have at least like 4 characters and a map, we could just do a test live on stream and see how it looks.
I think that would be kind of cool.
Are we gonna do the full Rivals roster? Eventually, probably. Like I don't see why we wouldn't over time. I'm not gonna launch this with everybody. It's probably gonna be like, we'll probably
couple healers, couple tanks.
Yeah, we'll probably do like 2 of each.
Sure.
Because again, I'm assuming that we're not going to have like a 6v6. It's probably going to be like a 2v2.
Yeah.
At best, if we have enough chat. You and me may have to take the role of one of the characters.
Yeah.
Just to make it a 2v2. But yeah, as it grows, I want to, like, if it's successful and we get a handful of characters in, I would totally just for fun want to create them all, because that's all content.
Sure.
That can be put into TikTok and more content. And again, as this grows, if this becomes a thing that we do like once a month, where we do a one-shot rivals, I kind of like that name, one-shot rivals.
One-shot rivals.
I kind of think that would be dope. As the bigger we get, the more options people have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
Now I'm also even thinking too, we're gonna have to have like, so I think I have a good way to blend the old school mindset of segments with the modernized aspect that, like, even in the game of rivals, like timing matters.
Interesting.
Like with ults and stuff, like what we've been trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if instead of doing segments, instead of breaking it out that crazy, what if we had certain abilities that could only start or end at the top, or like the start or end of your turn? So like,
oh, like top of the round, bottom of the round type deal.
Right. So like, let's say Jeff's last, like, like one whole round, but his like activates at the start. But let's say Scarlet Witch's like doesn't go off until the end of that round, or something like that. So you could do things like
I like that idea, because for Jeff's, it's important, like, where are you standing when it goes off? Because at that specific moment, that decides whether you get swallowed or not.
And if you do something like a delay where it's like, I activate my ult, but it won't go off till next round, that means for the end of this round, people can move out, which maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe Jeff's his ult activates at the start of a round, but doesn't but the second part doesn't take place until the next round. And then he has one more round until he spits you out. So it's, again, because it's like, you should technically have a chance to move out of his way, but maybe you don't, right? And then I like the other idea of other people's, maybe they can only start their ult at the end of a round, and then it only can activate at the start or end of the next. Like, I like the idea of playing around with when they can start and when they can't, because I think that would be more representative of how ults work in the game. Like, especially like with Moon Knight or Namor, because their ults activate and they like choose a spot, especially at a distance. It'd be great if they could only activate, like, their ult activates at the end of a round, but then the end of the next round is when it actually starts. So that represents them moving in.
Imagine like turn or round 2, Scarlet Witch activates her ult. It's not until the start of round 3 that she says pure. And then at the end of round 3 is when she hits chaos and everybody disappears.
Or then the start of round 4 is when everyone would disappear. And then, if Namor started and then his doesn't go off until round 4, he could interrupt her. So things like that, right? Because ults should be able to be interrupted if you had the right timing and the right ability, right? Not just attacking them. It's not like concentration. But certain spells should, like, again, we can even put that on the character write-ups. Certain spells could have the interrupt feature. Like, we could say like Winter Soldier, his arm, we could just write in parentheses, includes the interrupt feature. So if you use this ability on someone ulting, you interrupt them. But just attacking them shouldn't have the interrupt feature, because that's not how ult work, right? Like, you can shoot someone ulting and then nothing happens. But certain ults or certain abilities will kick you out of an ult.
Like Jeff, if he swallows Scarlet Witch, her ult goes away.
So I'm thinking, if we do these instead of segments, but if we do these things where everyone has to start and stop their abilities at certain times, I think we could add in the ability to trigger interruptions. Which just, because again, if everyone just says, I'm doing this, and oh my God, can you imagine like 3 people ult in the same turn, but they're all going to trigger at different times? So everyone's like, shit, wait, is your ult going to go off, or is my ult going to go off? Wait, where are you positioned? Who's gonna get, so you might just all ult and you're like, who's gonna get interrupted? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you all have to now pace out. Well, shit, yours is gonna take 2 rounds, but mine's gonna take 3. But wait, yours is only gonna take 2 rounds. But wait, yours goes off first. Like, shit like that's gonna get fun.
I like it.
Yeah, so I think this could be a lot of fun. I think the idea how Jeff's ult, because of how it is, starts the whirlpool until the timer goes off, which causes him to eat. The timer goes off, Jet spits out the enemies. And I think that's the idea. Like, once like he'll start it, he'll have a certain amount of time before he swallows, so people can technically try to move like out of distance. But I like the idea that it's like 1 round. Like, you basically, if you've already like used your movement, you're kind of fucked. Same thing in the game, right? Like, it should be based on initiative. But I also like this idea of like, once he swallows, you have a thing where like, after you use your ult, like, he won't be able to attack while he's like has anyone consumed, but he will be able to move.
Yeah.
So it's like once your ult goes off, if you grabbed anybody, you can move, but you can't attack. You can spit them out, in any direction as a bonus action or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, just, yeah. There's going to be so much fun with this, the way that we can do that. We need to get on this. Like, this needs to be something we need to do this summer. We need to capitalize on Marvel Rivals. This can't be something that we wait a year or two for. But we also need to do it before anybody gets ahead of us, because I don't think this is going to be anything. I don't think anyone's close to this idea. But
for sure.
I feel like what we need to do is we need to come out with this strong. Like, we need to have like 4 characters, do a test run, and then once we're done with that, like, knuckle down and like really knock out the rest of the characters. Make it like, basically when this thing's ready to go live, like live, it should be nearly complete. So there's no chance someone comes in and does better than us.
Right.
That's what, like, you know what I mean? Like, we have the idea out in the universe right now, but I'm talking about when it's time to like show up. Yeah, I want there to be no question that this is our creation and that nobody has a better idea than us.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm thinking like I'm thinking for attack, I was thinking Moon Knight and Scarlet Witch for DPS, because those two were kind of good. I feel like opposite sides of the coin in terms of the powers. Like, those two really have like really unique differences. I think for tank, I was thinking Groot and Hulk, just mainly because those are the ones that I use the most. Sure. And they have some really unique aspects. And then healers, I was thinking like Jeff would probably be a really good unique one.
I feel like Jeff will be kind of, I don't want to say important, but help flesh out some mechanics that we're going to be using with other characters.
On that same token, I think Loki could be a really interesting one, because you could place multiples of yourselves and then they all like attack the same person. Sure. Like, that could be a really
There is a new team up with Emma Frost that allows Magneto and whatever the ninja girl's name is.
Oh, you know what?
To make a duplicate of themselves.
We should make sure. Well, I guess with Jeff and Groot we could, but we should make sure as well at least 2 of them have a pair up. The first like 6 we do.
Oh, right.
Just so we can understand the mechanic of how to do the pair up. Because like Jeff and Groot, but that's just jumping on his shoulder. But anybody that has like those group ups, we should have a way to like.
Would you say Jeff has like an increased AC when he's underground? Harder to hit?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There's definitely got to be harder to hit him for sure. And then even like when he's on Groot, there's got to be some mechanic of
he just takes less damage. I'm think.
Or yeah. I guess he could just take because
because.
I'm trying to think of like, how do you decide if you're hitting Jeff or Groot? Like, can you just decide, or is there like a splash chance that like does Jeff's AC go up because again he's smaller and you're more likely to hit Groot? I don't know. Yeah, Jeff and Loki would be interesting. Venom and Hulk, maybe. I think I might say Venom to do along with Spider-Man because they're so similar. We want to make sure that we tackle them both. Because I think treating them kind of like chess pieces where their swing activates differently or works differently, I think is the key there.
I don't know if you've ever played with Cloak and Dagger, but Cloak's ability is very similar to Scarlet Witch. Does it actually lock on, or is it just
I know Scarlet Witch's does. I don't know.
Scarlet Witch's locks on. Like, you don't have
I don't know if I haven't played Cloak and Dagger yet.
Okay.
But this will be fun. I think this will be a lot of fun. I think we'll do a lot of the dev offline, but there may be a couple of days where we'll like go into Marvel Rivals of the game and read like the character descriptions and stuff build stuff. But I think this is one of those ones we can safely do a lot on offline and then come back with presentations and then build it from there.
Sure. I'm not mad at it.
Oh, it doesn't lock on.
Which one?
Dagger.
Oh, it does not. Okay.
So it's just like a straight. Okay.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Emma Frost, and she's got a similar one that also doesn't lock on. It's just point. But
I think it's gonna be dope. I have actually not been excited for one of our newer ideas, like probably since Pop Culture Build. I don't think I've been this excited. Even though ironically it's like very similar to the same thing, but longevity wise, I think this is like subletting subclass. Actually, maybe subletting subclasses was. I think I was more hyped for subletting subclasses than I was for Pop Culture Build.
Probably because you were really excited about the Echo Knight.
Yeah, I think because that one was like the Pop Culture Build. I think was just a natural progression. I think subletting subclasses because it was kind of like one of my more unique ideas. Maybe that's why. But yeah, I think this might be up there with how excited I am because This one I feel like has like staying power.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, not that I want to be like one hit wonders, but like legit out of all the things we've created so far, any one of these could easily like, make us famous or become popular.
Sure.
But this is the first one where I easily could see us perfecting this. And again, just like that Naruto guy, or I could just see this being the thing people show up for. Like, we have our normal Monday, Friday, but if we do this like once a month or even once every other week, where we do like a gaming thing, I could see that just calling in an entirely unique crowd just for that.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. All right. Well, we're almost at the 3.5 hour mark. That's all I had. Like I said, I thought we might do some actual dev work, but I think I got out all of the ideas. I think we have a lot to build off of here.
Sure.
I think it's going to be a hit. I think this is going to be the idea. So that's really all I wanted today. That's kind of, I just wanted to get this idea out there. I thought it was really cool, and I'm really excited to test this out because this will be basically the first foray into gaming in High Point, gaming with D&D, gaming with chat. This is going to be it. This is going to be our dipping our toe into going from just a podcast to an actual like gaming,
doing things. Yep.
And again,
especially getting to interact with chat. I think that's going to be,
and this is definitely like, of course, I'd love to bring in like, Old Gods and Dovd and Ness's campaign. Sure, all that sounds fun to do live, but this is much more on brand with my original idea of Misfit Gamer Studios. Like this idea of going not just, I mean, D&D was always the bread and butter, but like the blending of this, right? Not just playing games on Twitch, not just talking about D&D, not just playing D&D, but like talking about modules, talking about playing like different games, Call of Cthulhu, and then this, like taking two of our favorite things and just bringing them together in a way that's neither of them.
Yeah.
This is not Marvel Rivals in a tabletop, and this is not D&D flavored to be Marvel Rivals. This is neither of those things. It is it's more of a tabletop Marvel Rivals than it is a Marvel Rivals D&D.
Sure.
And I think that's where I feel like I always wanted Misfit Gamer Studios to go. I wanted Misfit Gamer Studios, the brand, to be about gaming in general. And again, Misfits, like gaming unconventionally.
Very much so.
This is the quintessential unconventional gaming that I want to be here for.
Big facts.
All right. Well, I think with that, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all so much for joining us. I say all, basically, thank you two for joining us. As always, you two have been great. We really do appreciate you guys. As always, it's been fantastic.
Definitely.
We will be back on Monday with the Barbarian review.
Yes.
So that will be on Monday. We may or may not be doing some streaming this weekend. I will be doing some streaming this weekend. Vixie's been really getting into the Schedule 1 game, and I've been watching her.
Schedule 1?
It's a drug game.
Nice.
And she's been doing a lot. It's really crazy. It's not my kind of game. Like, I wouldn't necessarily play it by myself. Like, it's not the kind of game where I get the dopamine for completing it.
Sure.
It's really interesting. It has a lot of fascinating aspects, but it's not a game I would sit down and like grind out like Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
But the more she talked about it, and then I found out it's also multiplayer. So it's not just like one of those, like, there was a game that came out a couple months ago that was really popular, like the trading card simulator game where you ran like a trading card shop. And again, very, very definitely a game made for streamers.
Yeah.
Very single player. This one looked the same way, so I'm like, I'll probably never play it. And then she told me, like, I was getting into it with her. We were like crafting some strains together. Nice. And at one point, she had let it drop that it was like multiplayer. She was like, yeah, if you just had friends, like you could just do this hella fast. I'm like, wait, like all in the same map. Then when she told me that, I'm like, so we're gonna stream this together then? Because then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, doing this together does not, or doing it by yourself doesn't sound that fun. It sounds interesting and novel, but not fun. But I'm like, I would totally stream this if you and I were working together and I didn't have to like grind everything out, right?
Right.
If we could just tag team this and get through the game a lot quicker, that I might be interested in. So I think we're gonna do it. I think because she got the game for free, and neither of us wanted it for full price because it's only $20. But we were like, if it were $10 maybe. But she ended up getting it gifted to her, so technically it's $10 a piece if I get it.
Cool.
So we're probably gonna play that tomorrow all day.
Nice.
After we do some things in the morning, we'll get on and we're gonna do a she won't be streaming, but I will. But we'll do a game together and we'll make the Misfit Drug Empire.
Cool. Thug life.
Misfit Druggy Studios or something. I don't know what we're gonna call it. We're gonna break some content rules on that one, but
absolutely love it.
Yep. So yeah, see me this weekend if you guys want to see me craft some drugs. Otherwise, we'll be back on Monday with your normally scheduled D&D programming. And yeah, just look forward to One Shot Rivals. I think that's going to be the name of it. One Shot Rivals.
One Shot Rivals.
And yeah, this will be the first gaming with chat. On top of Cloak and Dagger, how would a character be in One Shot Rivals since the ability to swap between them? Would one character with an action be able to switch, or would it be two separate characters? I would say it's going to be more of an action to switch, and you'd have just two separate sets of abilities.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it as close to, because two players, like, then you'd have to wait for the other player to like give you control.
Yeah.
No, just if you're Cloak, you have XYZ power. If you're Dagger, you have ABC power.
Sure.
And action to either action or bonus action or a reaction to switch between them. I don't know how, like, I don't know how the game, I don't know if this
I feel like bonus action would work well enough, but we can always hash it out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, but yeah, I would say Cloak and Dagger would be a single player action switch. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end it there. It's 10:30. Kage has not a long ride, but he has a ride home. So, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for being part of this development. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you guys are excited about it. This is a big project that I am really excited about doing, and I was really excited to bring it to you. Like I said, it's been keeping my mind busy all fucking week.
Love it. Love it.
It's 1:30 a.m. for you. Well, go get some sleep. Thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate all of you. We'll be back on Monday. If you see me online this weekend, stop in and say hi. I'd appreciate it. But otherwise, that's going to be it for the rest of tonight. I hope you guys had a great week and have a fantastic weekend ahead of you. Get some rest, y'all. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.